Hi there. In today's relaxing long play, we embark on a truly ambitious journey to push the Angodorf to mega proportions. So, without further ado, grab a drink, make yourself comfortable and relax alongside me in Manor Lords. Well, here we are, the very start of the Megadorf. Just a few families, fledgling families, settled in their tents and no idea the great things we have in store for them. So I don't know what this is exactly going to look like yet, but of course you do. You've seen the thumbnail. So the first thing we need to do is get setting out, and to do that we're going to use some corpse bits to start laying out where the center road is going to be going through our Megadorf, so we're going to be calling it. So first things first, I'm going to get to the corpse bit tool out and start to do some setting out. Bring it in from the top, bring it in from the bottom, straight line, find the middle. I'll join you after I've done that. So there's 13 corpse bits at the top, 13 at the bottom. I'm just going to take the road tool, snap onto the corpse bit down here, and then we'll snap onto the one all the way over at the other end, like so. Wonderful. And then we have our beautiful straight line running straight up the center of Nusshole. It's good to be back on Nusshole. So next thing to do is to work our way up and find the middle of the line, but first we're just going to decide where the start and end of our Megadorf is going to be. So I'm just going to take the corpse bit tool, and I think we will just snap at the end of it just here. So we'll get two corpse bits opposite each other there, and then we'll do the same over at this end, just slightly away from the edge of the map, like so. And those will serve as the end snap points, very similar to what we did with our old Angodorf build, if you remember that one. So I'm going to work my way in from both edges now with corpse bits, skipping around the King's Road where I have to find pretty much where the middle is, so we can start setting out the outer edges of the first roads. So let's do a quick count to make sure we've got it right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wonderful! So now that we have located the middle, let's see if we can't get an Megadorf, and it's a corpse bit, not from either of those, slap bang in the middle between these two here. So pop that down there, and is that about right? Try and use the entrance point in the road connection to judge if this is halfway. So we've got the whole circle runs up to the corner, and a little bit there, so the middle is probably more like here. So we'll delete that one, and put that there. So is that center? So it's just at the edge, and that's just the edge. Perfect! So that is the dead center of this Megadorf. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to work my way out to either edge with these corpse bits, and then we'll go from there. Grand, so that should be 11 on either side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, 12. Have I done that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, I've gone one too many. That often happens when I am having to skip out corpse bits. I count incorrectly. So that is a wonderful start, and what I'm going to do now is delete all of these excess corpse bits along the center line, and these original edge measurements over there. Edge measurements is the phrase I'm looking for. And then we're going to delete as well. We'll start with this. We're going to delete the one but in from the end of each of these. And what that's doing is this is going to be the outside edge of each side of the Megadorf. Right. I'm going to delete these off camera so you don't have an epileptic fit. One moment. Okay, 1 metric ton of deleting later, and 1 wrist injury. We're here with just a handful of corpse bits left, so our original center markers, our original end markers in case we need to redraw that line at any point, the end markers for our Megadorf, and the outside markers. So now what we're going to do is draw the first curve. So I'm going to take the road tool, I'm going to snap to this part of the corpse bit. Over here, I'm going to hover over the connection, but I'm not going to click on it. I'm going to just drop down so it just drops off that point and click. And then bring the road over. Check that you've got your curve tool set so the line is just above the C. click back onto that point and build, and check it out. Oh, what a curve. This is a very pretty looking line. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that on the other side, and then we'll decide if the shape is as we want it to be before we go any further. Up to there and build. Right, is that wide enough for our Megadorf? Is it mega enough? We could go one wider, I suppose. But is that going to be too wide? Are we going to start to run into hill problems here? Probably. So I think that's going to provide us with plenty enough space. I mean, it is enormous. If we look at the size of a tent here, and then look at the size of the Megadorf, we're already using a significant amount of space. And actually, we just cross over this line here, which is kind of a pain, but not the end of the world. Okay, so next thing we're going to do then is we will take our corpse split tool, and directly below this outside here, we'll snap a corpse bit there, and we'll do the same over on this side, and also down here. So we'll take this basically as close as you can to this corpse bit, bring it down and snap, and do the same on this side, or at least you would if the terrain was allowing you. That might provide some problems, but I'm sure we'll overcome them. So I'll do it on this side first, so take it to there, and then basically same process that we did earlier. We're going to snap on here, come up, get that point there, and then just come slightly off it, and then follow on down to here, click and build, and voila. Another beautiful curve. It was slightly thicker here than it is at the edge, but I think it's certainly good enough, and it looks great. So I'm just going to repeat that a few times on the inside here, and then I'll figure out the same on this side until I'm pretty happy we've come in with enough rows to leave a nice center area open. And I'll have to finick around a little bit with the ends, so we can't build corpse pits due to the terrain, use some other buildings, some other snapping points, but we'll get there in the end. So I'll just quickly go and do that. It's time. If you're enjoying the video, please drop a like, hype, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thank you all so much for your support. Back to the video. That's probably close enough for the time being, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rings. That is ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to go and copy what I've done here and do it on the bottom. Alrighty then, so it took a little bit longer to do this side here. I haven't done the inside one yet because the Settlers camp is in the way for the moment. But essentially, think the terrain, because it's a little bit up and down on this side. It's a little bit trickier. So if you are struggling, what I found is if you replace the end corpse bit with a woodcutter's lodge to line up with the road, so you've got an end to snap onto instead of a side, that will allow you to do the curve if you're having any problems. Right, so next thing up is to delete all these excess corpse bits, even these, and we'll come back and place those later when we're ready to place the inner section, but we won't be able to do that until our settlers camp's out of the way. So let's get rid of these, let's put some crossroads in, and then it's time to get manor lording. Right, so that's all the ends neatly joined up. It's more like a leaf hole than a hole, isn't it? Right, so ends all joined up, and the Megadorf is taking shape, and my goodness, is that a pretty sight. It's a bit like, I don't know if anyone remembers all the way back or has been watching that long, but kind of reminds me of Boatlandia. Those were the days, eh? Right, well, Megadorf has taken shape. Let's get rid of our last couple of corpse bits. We've drawn a line right across the centre, so I'm happy with where that is. And I don't think we need these corpse bits at the end, because we're not going to delete the centre line, at least for the time being. Maybe we could put down 2 little extra bits of road at the end here. So if we do end up deleting it, all we have to do is connect those 2 little end bits all the way across the map together, or the region rather, and we'll know that we'll have a perfectly straight line between them. So obviously we'll need a number of roads interconnecting all of these longer spans, otherwise people are going to have a very long way to walk when they're making their way around the Megadorf. But I don't know if we're going to worry about that too much to start with. We could space out so they're evenly distributed, but I don't know if I want to be that regular and uniform. I'm quite happy with the overall shape, which is very regular and very uniform for what we're going for. But I think inside of it, we can be a little bit more ad hoc, shall we say. Fill it up with anything we want to. So, I think it's time that we start to work on our settlers. Where did our wild animals go? They went all the way over here. Okay, I'm going to see if we can nudge them towards our settlers a little bit. If we take the shrine, I'm just going to nudge this. And I kind of want it to land somewhere near where we're starting, because we can always move it again at a later date. Come on. Where have you gone? Over there? Okay. I'll get you eventually. I'll be right back. I'm going to move this around till I'm happy with where it is, and then I've got some shrines to delete. Right, we've finally just about got that moved. It's over here, which isn't perfect, but it is outside of the Angodorf at least, or the Megadorf, as I should start calling it. And hopefully it's just close enough that we can get our initial starting camp to have some food provided by it. Berries are definitely too far away, so we'll have to focus on getting some vegetables fairly early on. But I think it's now time to start focusing on our settlers. Splendid! So, with our initial roads nicely laid out, and a few awaiting our settlers moving out of the way, I think it's about time we got some folks settled inside. Now, we're a little ways away from the wild animals. They're all the way over there, so we're not going to be able to get too many of those straight away. Therefore, I think we need to put a little bit of a focus on getting some burgages set up with access of vegetables, namely beets, as soon as we possibly can. So that is going to be our primary goal, and for that reason I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. Usually I build the granary and storehouse as the first order of business, but I'm actually going to build some burgages first. Now, the idea behind this is we can get a harvestable area at the back of the burgage as quickly as we possibly can. And we don't want this to be too large an area because we don't want to have to spend too much money. And you can see that average planting cost plus 40%, so we don't want to have anything like that. So we may have to go a little bit smaller, and it may even be if we go this way. Let's see, so that's a standard. How far do we have to go across? So that's not any larger. How about that? It's a tiny working area, so it doesn't really matter, does it? That's not too bad. Obviously, that's an abhorrent use of space. So maybe to start with then, we will just go for a couple of small burgages along here. And we'll fill out to the top there. Do we place individually with the snapping tool off and go a little something like that there? We could do, couldn't we? It's tempting. I'm just worried that that is a slightly too small an area for a garden. So let's pop a road in here. A little something like that there. And what if we were to split this diagonally? And then build our burgage on this side here. Follow that round. What does that give us? A pretty good usable space, and I'm actually happy with that. We'll give that a try at the very least. So we'll set that to build there. And we'll see if we can't do something similar on this side. I might start at the opposite corner. Oh, it's a bit weird, isn't it? So far, so no luck. What if we put a straight end on this here? Is that going to make any difference to how easy it is even, for us to get this down? Right, so start in the top corner first. That almost looks like it's going to work. Right, so that's one possibility. And then what if we start on this side? Not great. What if we start here? Not great again. So it looks like up here is probably the place to start. Okay, well, yeah, it's a starting area. We could always demolish these burgages later down the line if we think we can get a better use of space. And then I'm going to go straight away and get the logging camp popped down, because that's going to be the next most important thing for us to get going. That leaves us with 2 timber, and we're going to get the granary down next with those remaining 2 timber, and we'll pop this down. Let's maybe pop a road across here, and get the granary down just in here. A little something like that there. And then we'll get to work. Oh, a message. Yes, we shall grow and prosper. At least that is the plan. So let's set the burgage plots to a nice high priority, because we do want those to be built first. And the next thing will be getting the logging camp operational. And then over to the granary. And hopefully our supplies out here can survive the first lot of rainfall. This is definitely not the tactic that I normally go for. So we'll get some people moving into those burgages almost straight away. So that might keep people a little happier than they normally are, at least, I suppose. And then we need to get the logging camp finished, so we can get a few people out and working. We also need to get another ox in, but I don't want to do that until we can afford to build another hitching post. Because without another hitching post, we're going to lose an animal. It's going to run away. Right, we're going to get 3 families working there right away. And then we're going to move the hitching post just opposite here for the time being. And as soon as we have a family available, once the granary is complete, we'll get a worker in the granary to get our supplies tucked away. And once we have 2 timber from our logging camp, we will get a storehouse set up. Just like so. We'll get that there. And then once we're done taking all of our goods inside, food-wise, we'll unassign that worker there, and you shall shortly be going elsewhere. We need to get down a saw pit fairly early on as well with this design. Get a family over at the storehouse. Timber is coming in at a decent rate. As soon as we have enough, let's get the second hitching post down and order that second ox. And the aim here is to get some planks, so we'll get a worker in here, and we just need to get 10 planks to start with, should see us nicely through. And we want to build the vegetable garden as soon as we possibly can. So we'll just wait for that to put tick in. There it is. And we'll get 2 vegetable gardens under construction. And we'll leave the saw pit at just a couple of planks for the time being, because we are going to need the timber for construction, obviously. That's the last of those brought in for the storehouse. So let's go ahead and get the all-important hunting camp set up, which we'll put just opposite the granary, again, just for the time being. Eventually, we'll be hunting much closer to the source. And then we'll continue time on. And just as soon as that's built, we're going to order some beets in there. And that's going to be it. So we can only afford beets for one of them for the time being. Let's get an expansion put on that property there. And next, let's go over to logistics and get a trading post. And I suppose we might as well put this directly onto the King's Road. Or nearly directly, I suppose. So we'll connect that one up there. We've got our second oxen, and hopefully we've got some beets being planted. But I'm rather confused as to where. It looks like under the burgage plot. Because I can't actually see where we've got the proper harvestable area here, which is concerning me no end. I'm going to be honest. Right, as soon as this is completed, let's take 2 families out of there, 1 out of there, and we'll send 2 families to go and work over here. And we want to be exporting charcoal, desired surplus of 20. And actually, there's no point in having people working there until we've produced some charcoal, is there? So, next thing, we get a woodcutter's lodge, which we'll slap down just there. Get 2 families at the hunting camp momentarily. And then we're going to need a charcoal kiln to complement that, which we will slap down just there for the time being. And we need a few additional living spaces to get our people out of the tents, so we'll put an expansion in there. And then we'll build a couple of houses. Where are we going to put these? Perhaps just along here for the time being. So if we extend this road up here, and actually we won't continue it all the way. Let's break it up a little bit. And let's put a number of burgages in this space here. How many are we going to get? Looks like we're going to get 3 with the timber we have available to us, but we of course want that to be taking up as small a space as we possibly can. It's too close to the bottom road there. Okay, so we can go smaller again. How about there? Probably go a little bit smaller again. Still getting 3 burgages. Oh, and we're right on the edge there. Just take that a bit further across. Good, and we'll get 3 burgages in there. And we'll also get a well down here. And hopefully we're getting some stuff in from our hunting camp. Indeed we are. Let's get a family working at the woodcutter's lodge. And got a few timber. Probably enough for the moment. So I'm actually going to free up that logging camp worker and send them to go and work at the charcoal kiln. And then we'll get the final worker, once we get someone to move in hopefully, to go and work at the trading post. We're at the small village level already, and goodness, I had not considered what our speciality was going to be. So we've got wild animals and we've got iron, are our 2 primary resources. So there's always smallholders, which is nice, and we've got the hunting hand would be useful. Increased export price on minor good trades, that would be good for things like charcoal exports, and increased capacity for forage goods. So we're not doing a load of that, but there is some berries, I believe. We're not going to be doing much agriculture. Bows would be good, we're not doing military. Regional wealth and burgage plots would be nice, and lower upgrade cost. Smiths of Passu would help us with export value. Clothing, yes. Stonemasons, armourers. And that's improved mine integrity, which will help us a little bit later on, potentially. Vauxland would be good for the time being, but useless later on, I suppose. I think we probably ought to go for the Smiths of Passu. Equip local handyman bonus. No, we'll go Nuremberg prosecutors. Yeah, we'll do that. We can make armour and sell it at a good price then. Okay, that decision has been made. Let's move on with our lives swiftly. So we've people moving in over here, and we've got an available living space, so hopefully a family will move in there nice and quickly so we can get someone working at the trading post. I'm actually going to send someone now. And we've got a few timber left over spare, and we should be producing a little bit of charcoal any moment now. And there we have our first 20 charcoal. Hopefully we'll start trading that away. I'm really hoping there are some beets in here. I think I can see them. I don't know where the grass is overlaying over the burgage area, because I can see the burgage areas in here. I think those are all the beets there. So we have got a decent area planted up. It just doesn't look like it. It is much, much better than this one. So hopefully we've made the right decision there, because we are down to 1 month of food. And generic storage here is almost full. So I'm going to unassign one of the hunting camp workers and go to send them and work them at the storehouse. And they're going to empty the generic storage from the hunting camp. There we go. Which enables the hunting camp to continue functioning. So we'll get the hunting camp operational once again. And with any luck, someone here will be considering going and trading. And with that trade, a little bit of money will come in. And we'll be able to buy some more things and stuffs. I am actually going to establish a firewood trade for the moment, because we can afford to buy a proper route for that. And they can start stocking that for sale now. Hopefully that'll get us over the lip with regional wealth, get us a bit more money, and then we'll still have the charcoal for sale in case we do have more people. I'm going to get another worker at the woodcutter's lodge for that reason. And we still have 1 more space for a family to move in. And we don't want to be completely overwhelming the food supply. 9 out of 36 in the pantry. And 20 out of 26 animals. Let's make sure that this is not set too high yet. 12 animals per herd should be absolutely fine. Oh, and we've had 10 come in there. I wonder what trade that was. We go to records. Yeah, it was firewood. Perfect. Another worker there would be very nice. But we might just have to wait for the travelling merchants. And there we go. Travelling merchant incoming. Maybe he'll buy some goods. Hopefully some charcoal. It's worth a little bit more. Where are you going? What a peculiar route. Tell me you're going over there. Yes, you are. Thank you kindly. And take a left if you would. Oh, going in there. Good. +6. Useless. Need more than that. Okay, we're up to 3 months of food. And that's the beets. So our beets have been harvested, or are being harvested. And I really, really hope that those are going to be enough to see us through this winter. 22 beets. 23 beets. We can but hope. Let's get a worker over in the granary to make sure we're stocking everything from the hunting camp and the beets coming in from this burgage plot here. We're up to 21 regional wealth, and I'm actually going to use that to plant some more beets. I feel that is a good use of the coin. There we go, a bit more coming in there as well. And we'll use that to... not quite yet. Once we've got another 9, we'll use that to get hold of the next upgrade to start exporting some lovely charcoal. It's August. An extra family has moved in, and I'm not going to set them to building anything else because I think it's important we don't stress our food chain any more than we have to. And more families, of course, means more mouths to feed. We're nearly full generic storage again, so I'm quickly going to pop the granary worker over into the storehouse to empty out that generic storage and those pelts, and actually those pelts are something that we can be selling. So we'll go to crafting materials, and we'll export any pelts that we have. That'll be another nice ancillary source of income. Good, we've emptied that out, so we'll send that family back to work at the granary. And everything seems to be tickety-boo. We've got our second lot of beets in the ground. We've got 22 in the granary. And we've got a little bit of small game as well. 4 months of food, it's August. We're still bringing in more game from over here, though we look to have mostly exhausted that for the time being. Do we get one more burgage plot down with space for an extension? It's tempting. It's very tempting indeed. In fact, why don't we put something here? It's a little bit larger, 2 slightly larger plots there. Yeah, it's a good start. And like I said, this is all something that we'll probably demolish later on in the game once we're a bit better established and we start having a slightly more uniform layout to our Angodorf, or our Megadorf. I'm not quite sure how all the vegetable plots are going to look for the moment. They may just be back-to-back like these here. We may even need to delete one of these lines and have some longer plots. That's perfectly possible. We could do that. Haven't decided yet. So many possibilities. Obviously, you have a rough idea. I'm sure you've seen a lovely image of what it ends up looking like. At least I hope it ends up looking nice. But I'll have to take your word for it at the moment. Come on then. Bring us in a little bit of money. Let's prioritise one of these burgages, and we of course need someone to go and build the thing. So we will assign the family we currently have working at the granary. And hopefully the 4 months food we have isn't too badly affected by getting a family or 2 more move in. I imagine it's too late to go and get the berries, even if we wanted to. We could probably import a little bit of food, but I'm not sure it'll be importing enough to really make a difference. 5 months of food there temporarily. It's all very hopeful. I am indeed hopeful we will survive the first winter. Not always the easiest when you've got a specific route for gameplay in mind. Do we delete this? I think we will for the time being. So actually, I would rather just have 1 additional family move in, because that's going to be the plot of land we can actually plant up. Hopefully we've got enough money in the bank already to do that. Shouldn't be much more than 60, I wouldn't imagine. And just adding another family is just going to stretch our already thin resources. And look at that. Getting our second harvest in of beets before the winter. Absolutely fantastic. Are we going to get that in this one too? Ooh, lad just teleported. Did you see that? Quick, get the beets in the ground. We did have enough. Could have put carrots there. Should have done that, shouldn't I? Come on. Is anyone living here? Bother. Quick, move in. You need to get planting. Look, we've got 55% approval. You should be absolutely flowing in. What is it with people teleporting from this burgage? They just enter here and disappear. No, you don't want to harvest? Oh, look, someone's moved in. Excellent. You're meant to be planting, please. Now, long-thing burgage plots are not normally good for vegetable plots because they have to walk quite far from where they deposit the vegetables, which is here. But I think for the time being, it'll do us absolutely fine. Look at that, 6 months of food. 40 beets. Don't think we're going to have any problems whatsoever. Another family has moved in. I'm going to assign them to work at the logging camp, so we can start getting some timber back in. And with all of this regional wealth we have, why don't we go and put some animal pens onto these burgages here, and we'll buy some animals to put out the back of them. That sounds a wonderful idea. We could order a horse as well, couldn't we? Let's build another hitching post. Pop it just here. And we'll order a horse to help with exports. And that still leaves us with 58, so we should be able to buy in a couple of goats over here. And we need a family working at the saw pit again. We'll hold off on that for the moment. Although I suppose we could temporarily assign someone, couldn't we, over from the logging camp. Good, and we're getting beets in the ground over at this new burgage here. And food for half a year. So we should be absolutely fine. More veggies are back in the ground. 47 beets to hand. And a little bit of small game as well. Well, I suppose you're all very happy, aren't you? Not really, because there's no market stall yet. That's probably something we should address. So let's get our first market stall in here. Again, we'll just randomly assign some space here because we're not looking for peak efficiency or beauty for the moment. We're just getting through the first winter is the plan. We can probably afford another family though, so I'm going to put an extension on that burgage there. I can't remember having goats this early on before the first winter. That's new. Good, horses on the way. And once we're done with construction over here, we'll send the family we currently have working on that to go and operate the granary, I suppose. Start supplying people with food, which I'm sure will make them lovely and happy. And we should have another person move in to help anyway. And there they are, straight away. Good. So we could assign them to work at the storehouse. How are we doing for firewood? Not too bad. I'm actually going to stop trading firewood, so we're just trading charcoal. And I will up the minimum amount we want sat around of charcoal. So we want at least 100, I'm going to say. I'm going to take a worker from the woodcutter's lodge and send them to work at the storehouse, and all of a sudden, we should have 2 market stalls getting fully stocked. And of course, we do need to allow them both to have market stalls. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Simply wonderful. We do have a family available for construction, actually. So why don't we get one of those upgraded to a stable? Everyone is well supplied. How far off are we of building a church? Need 20 planks. Let's assign someone to the saw pit for a little while. Do with someone finishing that construction, couldn't we? Okay, the logging camp worker can temporarily finish construction while we make a few planks. And we need 20 planks so that we can get towards building the church. Let's make sure we've got that limit set correctly then. So we want 20 of them. 13 at the moment. I'll get a family back working at the logging camp now that we've built that lovely stable. And we just need another timber to come in to be able to get over those 20 planks. And we'll unassign the worker we have at the saw pit. And there it is. As I sip my tea, he does his job. We'll unassign you. And how many timber do we need? Let's have a look. Wooden church 5. We're actually there. We can do it. Goodness, I have never before built the church anywhere close to the first winter. I can't fit it in any of the rings. I feel like there should probably be something a little close to the centre anyway. So I will pop our church down. Just here. For the time being. Why not? Now, if I remember correctly, which I usually don't, we go over to the course bit tool. I'm just calling it a tool at this point. And put this here. Yes, we can see that the road overlaps at this junction here. So now we've got everything out of the way in terms of the settlers camp. I'm just going to pop down our Snapter Road. Come on. Corpse pit down here. And a corpse pit over here as well. And then let's get this final part of the Megadorf Road installed. Make sure the road curve is in the right place. Has that worked? Yes, it has. Wonderful. And then let's delete those corpse bits. Connect these roads up at the end. Oh dear, they don't quite line up, do they? Oh, bother! Click the wrong button. Right, okay. Well, I guess we're doing that again. Hey, for goodness sake. Come on. Okay, so go to there, there. Now that road isn't going to work, is it? I need a snap point. I need a snap point. Go from there this time. And just repeat what we just did. good. Oh, except this time it didn't work. It's always the worry of doing something over again, isn't it? But this time, it won't work. Now, you worked last time, so I do expect you to work again, please. Please and thank you. How's that? Yes, okay, good. And then... see, it's quite different to this side, isn't it? I wonder why that is. That one kind of does that. I suppose I could sketch over this line, just to have them meet a bit better here. So if I do this... no, it's not going to look right, is it? You know what? They don't meet on the other side anyway. Might just need to ease this one in. A little something like that there, potentially. Does it matter? Oh yes, it does. Look at that. It's horrendous. This end isn't too bad. That I can live with. I think. Or can I? What if we do this? We always said, what I've always said, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing it, there's perfection in imperfection. How's that look? Let's actually just make this side the same. Really hope I don't delete the wrong road here. It'd be really annoying if that happened. How's that? Sure, there's a top and a bottom to this road now. So there's the Megadorf. It's a shame the others do meet pretty well. I mean, once we've got a few more buildings in here, maybe it won't be quite so easy to notice. I mean, we could always bookend them like that, couldn't we? And get rid of the ends altogether. I'm not going to worry about that for now. Right. The important thing is that road is in place, and we've got the church going in. Let's push on then. Back to full speed with that road sort of in place, or in place good enough for the time being. Now, we're doing fine for food, so maybe we should start adding a few more burgages. So, let's see if we can't get one set in here, next to the one we deleted. Things don't seem to be quite right there, do they? What about doing that? Sure. Get one built in there. And then these are more like what we're going to be keeping long term. We can probably get a thingamabob goat ordered in for that. And get another slough in here. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Slough. That's a good word, isn't it? A slough of burgages. Not enough goods, I know, but have I clicked too close to the top here? Is that why you're complaining? I do think it is. Oh, see, it's not quite snapping to the top though if I do that. Guess we'll just... Maybe we don't snap to the bottom. We do snap to the top. So come a bit further along. It works okay, doesn't it? It's just a shame that it doesn't quite snap out to the edge. I really don't suppose it matters at all. Really. I'm just being pedantic. But you know, the British are known for being quite pedantic. We could build it in smaller sections, I suppose. Could go for single burgages at a time. We've done that before, haven't we? Yes, let's do that. So we will snap, unsnap, come across more or less and make it as small as we possibly can. Like so, and then do the next one. Snap, unsnap, draw nice and thin, build. Snap, unsnap, draw nice and thin, and build. You get the idea, don't you? Repeat the process. Getting thinner all the time as I realise I've already been building them bigger than they need to be. And we ran out of goods there anyway. Okay, so we've got family working on construction. You should probably be a vegetable plot as well to help us continue through this first winter we're having now. And I'm now starting to think about how we're going to set up our proper vegetable plots. Because I don't like what we've done down here, basically. I mean, that works, but it's not very aesthetically pleasing, is it? I suppose we could have lots of tiny vegetable burgage plots where they literally just do their back gardens along here. Maybe we'll set up a couple of these as vegetable plots and just see how they look and how much they produce to see if it's something even worth considering. And then I guess we could have a play with how we would put the burgages otherwise. Let's maybe put a road in just here and use this to experiment. So if we just built out like we have done like we have done previously, a little something like that, we could just have two fairly large usable spaces there with double burgages. So that's a little similar to what we've done here. That does work. What if we were though to put a road in at the end here and split these, maybe a little something like that there? What if we then got burgage set in like this? Okay, that's not bad, is it? That seems to lend itself to a reasonable amount of usable space. Same with that side there. So that, I prefer the look of that, I think. So what if we were then to extend this? And what if we were to use some kind of measuring system? Ooh, I like the idea of that. Let's pause the game quickly and break out a corpse bit. And put one here and cross a road over at the bottom. And then make it 3 long. 1, 2, 3. And put a road across here. Then delete those. And then roughly judge this like so. Has that made any more usable volume than we had with the slightly shorter version? It has. And does it work on both sides? Oh, make sure we get clicked in the right point here. Looks like we might need to go for a manual click. It does. Right. That is what we're going to do. I have decreed it. Don't want to get too close to the iron though, so we're not going to do it here. But we can do it here as we move into this space. And there's probably not even any point in measuring this one. We'll just put a straight road here. And can we delete that? Oh yes, we've got a straight road there. And then we'll just do this. And build a couple of burgages in. A little bit there, cross like that. Good, so that's one. And we'll do another one over here. Splendid. Right, I think we found how we're going to do our vegetable plots, and we might do something similar with our trees. We'll have to wait and see. Got a few spots for people to be moving into, and we're a little short on the old planks. Let's set a reserve of 6 timber and get a family working at the saw pit. And another family working over at the woodcutter's lodge so we can get even more wood ready for charcoal. We'll plant some carrots over there temporarily before we go and delete those, so at least they're producing something for us in the coming year. And it's all going swimmingly. We've got a little bit of regional wealth. Approval is already 75%. And we're actually, if we had some planks, would be ready to upgrade to the next level of burgage already. Let's get second family working at the logging camp so we can bring those in a little faster. And my goodness, I'm quite happy with that. Not only did we not come close to starving, I would go as far as to say that we have come close to thriving. Splendid. Right, well, in that case, there's only really one thing to do, isn't there? Row. Right, so one wonderful cup of tea later, and I'm thinking the name of the game now is money. We need more money. More money is more good, and it's going to give us more opportunity to buy things, sell things, and generally grow our population. So, what I'm thinking is, we need to start thinking about getting down a few mining pits. Now, I've just had a look, and I think the gap between here might be a little bit too small. And if that is a problem. So, first thing we need to do is get our hands, our grubby little hands, on a couple of planks. So, why ain't we got no planks? Let's speed time up. We've got 6 timber at the moment. What have we set our limit to down here? 6, and then we'll have 20, so I'm sure we'll have a couple of planks. Ah, there we go. Just as I say it. So let's have a look for this. Will we be able to get this in here? We will not. Now there's definitely space here. This is where we come down to the fact that the lines we've done here, they aren't perfect. Especially this one here is a little bit odd. So I think what that means is we probably ought to set up a little dedicated area for our mining purposes. So I might just see, we could do something a little bit like this here, where we just segment off the mining area. How's that look? Not too bad. It's a little bit odd. The other option is we could just take a straight cut out like this and turn that into an industrial part of our Megadorf. Yeah, it might work slightly better. We could always round these corners as well. Options, options, options. The other option is we just build over this road and allow a little bit more space. So if we got a few in here first, and just going to be one by the looks, and then extend this part of the road out a little bit, that might be a good option. Let's quickly establish which ring this is, this one here. And let's build over the top of the whole darn thing. And we'll just follow it until we get to about there. And then maybe we'll just deviate ever so slightly. Shame we can't stop that from snapping. It's getting nice and close. Getting nice and close. Yeah, that's it. And we're just going to come on top of this road here. Just so it doesn't snap. A little bit like that. Make sure the curve's looking about right. And keep going all the way along. Without hitting any of these snap points. And then we can go back then to matching the road, can't we? So from there, we can then just go back to following the existing road we have going around our Megadorf. Okay, so let's build that there. And that should give us two roads here. So if we delete this inner road, like so, we're going to move those burgages eventually anyway, so it doesn't matter. And that should make us a slightly wider gap in here. Wonderful! And now we can fit in our mining bits. So, can we fit 3 in here? 1, 2... Oh, we can. Lovely. Right, so we squeeze 3 mining pits in there. Well, we might as well get those built right away. It's right on top of a hill here, isn't it? It's an odd place to have the mining pits. Can we get 1 in here on this side? Doesn't look like we're quite close enough to the deposit to do it. We can just about get 1 this side, though. So that gives us 4 in total. And 4 in total I think is going to be more than ample. We've seen the game's a little unstable sometimes when you have too many together anyway. And we'll just call this Iron Hill, I guess. And that part of the Megadorf is going to be for iron production. So just as soon as we get one of those open, let's get a family working in there. And we'll look to start selling some. Let's get another horse as well. And we'll set the second livestock there. Upgrade that to a stable so we've got enough space. And by golly gosh, people are ready for upgrading. Well, let's oblige. Let's get a couple of level 2 burgage plots on the go. Probably not much point in doing too many. Again, we're not entirely sure these ones, I suppose, are going to be exactly what the area ends up looking like. But we've done it now, so it is what it is. Let's get a couple more vegetable plots over here. And we probably ought to start thinking about a bit of further expansion as well and getting a few more burgages in. So we do have the space a little closer to the inner area of our Megadorf available to us, so we could get some burgages slotted into there. It's definitely an option. Right, so iron being produced there. Oh, look at that. We've got up to the next settlement level. How wonderful is that? Let's think about this then. What do we want to do next? Oh gosh, we really have occupied a very small section of what's available to us here, haven't we? We'll probably want to start making iron tools fairly soon, so let's make that a priority. I suppose it would make sense to have some industrial buildings for iron around where the iron is. So if we go to industry, let's go and get a bloomery. And we'll pop that in here, just next to where we have the mining pit already. And we'll get a smithy then, placed down right next to that. We'll get a road coming across here to connect it to that part of the ring. And then I think it would probably be a splendid idea to get a storehouse in here that's dedicated to iron and its various products. So we'll get that there, and then we'll put another road just here. Make sure we've got some good connections between our iron mines, etc. So we'll use this to handle the iron and the tools, etc. in ore and refined form. And we could even go straight to selling tools, couldn't we? That might be a good source of income. How much is it to establish that trade route? So we can get away from selling our wonderful charcoal. So I'd imagine it'll be under... commodities? No. Construction? Yes. Okay, so 3 for exporting. That's not much, is it? How does that compare to iron, for example? Yes, you're saving. That's not important right now. Trade. And crafting materials. 2. Maybe we'll just sell the iron after all. I've had another family move in, so I'm going to go and send them to work at the bloomery. And we'll get another one to go and work at the smithy. And I think you just as well turn everything into tools. And we need 20 tools, let's say. To stock, I think that makes it a good place to start. Storehouse here, we're going to turn off allowing the market stall. And we're going to set right from the get-go what it's supposed to be doing. And what it's supposed to be doing is getting iron and iron ore. Tools, they're nearby, so that's fine. And we'll set that as what it's allowed to hold for the time being. So hopefully it takes most of that. And we'll go to our other storehouse. And we're actually going to disallow it to have iron ore and iron slabs. They all need to go to that storehouse over there. And hopefully that way we can control things nicely. Do with another family at the granary and the storehouse. Let's get some expansions popped on over here so we can get a few more people moving in. Got 2 available living spaces at the moment. 75% on the approval. It would be nice if we can catapult that into the 80% range, but realistically we're a little ways off that at the moment. Get an upgrade pop down there because we can. And we're not exactly flush for wealth, but we go over to the trading post as we bring a little bit more money in. We've got that second horse now. We need a second family, of course, to take proper advantage of that. But we can always get trade set up in the meantime. So how much was it for the iron? 40. Okay. And we'll set an export on iron to export once we've got a surplus of, let's say, 20 slabs. So that'll make sure that we've got enough tools at any given point. We're already up to 18, so that's obviously starting to go nice and well for us. Let's get a second stable set up over there. Food and fuel are absolutely fine. Fuel is not a problem for a long time, and food is looking okay as well, actually. We'll need to get some vegetables planted over here once a few more people move in. And with that, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Ah, wonderful. Cup of tea in hand. Everything feels much better all of a sudden. Alright, yes, where were we? Oh, yes. We were expanding, weren't we? Oh, there's a lovely stable being completed there. Right. Tools are coming in. How are we doing? Are we storing stuff in here, or are we not because we haven't employed anyone there? Tools going down there. I don't think that's a major problem at all. We seem to have plenty of forest at the moment, and we can always expand into this, so not that keen or desperate to get loads of planting going on, so I think we can survive without getting a forester up and running for the time being, at least. One operational mining pit, plenty of surface deposit for us to work our way through. Let's go over to the hunting camp, and let's increase the limit to 16 maybe. So we're not killing all of the animals. We don't want to be doing that, of course. And I think we should probably look at a bit of burgage expansion, shouldn't we? I suppose we could go vertically, fill out to the outside, and then expand from there. That might make sense. So with that in mind, why don't we get down, obviously a central road through here. Why don't we get down a local granary and storehouse over here? Not enough goods. What? We're out of rubble stone. Well then, our hand has been forced. We must instead get a stone gathering camp. So we'll grab that, and we'll just pop it down here at this crossroads for the time being. They'll have to walk quite a way to go and get the stone, but I don't see that being a problem. Right, so we'll be able to take care of that at least. It's going to work at that storehouse. Not going to allow them to have a market stall. They're just gathering and storing resources to make life easier for the smithy and bloomery. And as far as this storehouse is concerned, you're very full, aren't you? So we should probably make you a little bit bigger as a priority. We've got 26 timber, so that's sitting pretty. Let's take a quick pause and think about how we want to get our burgages set up here. So obviously we've placed these individually, and that's probably the way to go. I was considering the outside ring, potentially having a wall of trees all the way around the outside. And to achieve that, I was thinking we have a regular burgage, little something like this here, with a small little extension on the back. But we actually make that an orchard. That's not something I would normally do, because it is not a very efficient use of space. We'd be better off doing something like we have here, with our burgages for the vegetables, if we wanted to make good use of the space per family. But by doing it this way, we get a much higher population density, and we get a ring of trees uninterrupted around the outside edge in these back gardens. Does sound very appealing. I think what we probably ought to do is a test to see how it looks. I mean, I suppose we could, we really wanted to be redundant, we could do this and just have fewer burgages, and we'd still manage to get the wall all the way around, but it would be even less efficient use of space. So let's build a couple of tests, shall we? Might as well start here where we do have to go along the edge a little bit. So start with that one there, and then we'll come along, turn off snapping, and fill out to the outside edge. Might go a little bit further there. Once again, we're going to be turning off snapping almost immediately. So could we space these out a bit more? Would that make sense? Would that be sensible? Probably. So we could get 2 families here, get an extension on. Would that make any real difference? Is that just going to increase the number of families we've got per thing? I think we'll go for the single burgage. A lot more families in that way. And we'll basically do what we did earlier and just try and make it as small as we can while still being able to fit the thing in here. So we'll get a couple of these down. Snap, unsnap, and build across. Not a tedious process at all, is it? Too steep to build. Therein lies the first problem we've come across with building this wall of trees. Sometimes it's simply going to be too steep to build a burgage plot. That may cause us to come a little unstuck. Can we get around it? By getting rid of that corner there. It looked like we could do for a second there, didn't it? Compromise. Compromise at such an early stage. Well, I want this wall of trees, so I think we're probably just going to have to cope with the fact that we have to make this compromise. What we could do actually is we could use this as a spot to have a road, couldn't we? We are going to need to have roads that break it up. Is that enough to get us past that high spot? Not quite. So what if we were to curve this corner? A little something like that there. Gosh, that's a weird road. No, don't like that. Can we just cut the corner like this? Just trying to see what we can do that'll allow us to build out to the edge here. Is there a water source there? No, so no excuse to put that down. We've got a little market stall. So much for the ring of trees. May have to abandon that idea. I think for the time being, we'll do this. Just as it's better than nothing. We'll at least get some trees all the way along the outside of the edge, even if I don't quite get as many in there as I perhaps would like to. And come on, more burgage, please. We're going to continue on up this way. Oh, just a smidge too small. Make it a little larger. Lovely, and we'll just do maybe 2 or 3 more along here. Always difficult to know if I've gone too long or it's too narrow to allow us to build. Like I said, not tedious at all. Okay, one more, and then we'll go and do something more interesting. How does that sound? I'm sure everyone is thrilled. Good. Right, well that gives them some building to be getting on with as well, and that seems as good a place as any to have another linking road. Maybe we'll bring this one in a couple deep this time. Maybe this is where we'll have that granary and storehouse. Stone Gatherer's Camp is up and completed, so just as soon as we have a worker that can go there, we'll get someone employed. We've still got a few burgage place spots for people to move into even before we start moving into those new ones we're constructing over the ways. Brought in a little bit of regional wealth, but nothing major so far. I wonder if we've started exporting any of that wonderful iron. Let's go to the records, exports. No, we're not. Just a few pellets. Never mind. Burgages going up over here. We might as well construct the orchards in the back gardens as and when these burgages are completed. A little bit like so. And what are we saving up for? Nothing in particular. So I don't think there's any particular need to worry about not putting vegetables in the ground. So we'll get some carrots in the ground at that property there. And we'll get it upgraded as well. And really it's just about growing that population now. And in line with growing the population, we will need to start thinking about sheep for garments. Nice and early on is always a good idea. Just check, yep, you're being used as intended storage-wise. And storage down here is coping a little better. I imagine we're very short on granary workers though. Let's start to build that infrastructure for sheep. So a sheep farm is going to be the first part of that. And it doesn't really matter where we're going to put these. I wonder if that counts as elevation. The sheep are going to dive and put them up here. I'm going to hazard a guess at yes. So I think we'll try and put them somewhere in the lowland. And why not here? That would make us a good a spot as any, especially as it's up against the King's Road. So we can get some funky pasture shapes in there. Let's get down a sheep farm just there. And in anticipation of the requirement, we're going to put a weaver's shop just behind it. Maybe we go sideways here. Oh, we could go on this side. Yes. So let's get a weaver's shop there, or maybe two. And once again, dedicated storehouse for all the various goods that they're going to need. And we'll put that so it connects onto the road just there. Pasture space wise, let's go to farming and go pasture. And we'll just fill out this space here. And we might as well carry that road down here, hadn't we? And then we can get another one popped in here. And let's decide where this road's going to go over here. Don't need to decide yet, I suppose. We could fill that up in the air as and when the time comes. So as well as the sheep farm, we're going to need a way to import said sheep. So trading, or logistics rather. And we'll get ourselves a lovely livestock trading post. And why not put this down here, just opposite or nearby our proper trading post. That seems a good notion to me. I had another family move in, so we're going to go and send them to work at this granary, and we're going to upgrade that as well to a larger building to make sure we continue to have the capacity we require as we start to get our sheep industry in position, ready for when it's required. It's just the one family doing construction work at the moment, and things are a little slow as a result. Not to fear though. Progress shall be made, no matter how slowly it plods along. Extensions then. Right, so we've got a couple here set up for some lovely cattle, or goats rather, so I see no reason to not put animal pens in the others here as well. Goodness, running out of planks. We should probably up the limit here now, maybe to more like 100, but we're also, in keeping, we're going to keep the limit of timber up to 12 or something, so we always have enough of that set around. Talking of having enough stuff set around, I don't think it would hurt to have a few additional stables installed, in case we want to start ordering a few more oxen. Can we fit 3 of these in here? Just about, yep. So we'll get 3 hitching posts there that we can upgrade to stables in the fullness of time. And 27 regional wealth, so we will order in just the one goat for the time being. But we just as well upgrade these burgages. Once again, running into a plank shortage problem. But I'm sure it'll go as quickly as it comes. Interesting to see if we've made any exports on iron. We have. We're just starting to anyway. Obviously, it would make more sense to be exporting weapons of some description. So that's something we can also look to build for export a little bit later on. How are we turning all of our iron ore into iron? We've got iron ore 2 and 21 iron slabs. So we could do with another family working at the mining pit before too long as well. How is the market doing? Both a bit pushed. I'm going to get a second worker at this granary here, and we should have brought in some rubble stone now, which we have indeed done. So we'll get ourselves a granary and storehouse over here to help cater for the expanded living space we put on the outside edge, and therefore it makes sense to have all of this, I think, pointing out onto the second to outer ring. So we'll get a storehouse and a granary pop down here. And let's check to see if we can get a local well in place. Oh, just down here potentially. We can get something slapped down. Don't really want to put it here. Okay, let's move over the storehouse ever so slightly just to make space so we can get a well in between the two. Lovely, so put the well there. And the storehouse next to it. Splendid. And then let's get down a market stall. And we'll just fill out, maybe a bit too big there. We'll just put in just the end here, basically. So we'll turn on snapping off there and then snap back for that. Good. That should be enough stalls for those two to go in there. And obviously this storehouse is specifically for sheep stuffs. So let's go ahead and set that restriction now so we don't forget to do it later on. So it is going to accept wool. It's going to accept yarn. And it's going to accept clothes. That's just about all we need from it. Having said that, could we fit a tannery over here as well? Yes, we could. So let's put a tannery there and set the storehouse to also accept leather and boots. And that can be an ancillary product over here in the future. A couple of families moving in, and they have indeed started moving in over here at our future orchards. Speaking of which, the rest of these should be orcharded up. Again, it seems a horrific use of space. We may vary it as we go along the outside, some small plots and some larger. We'll have to wait and see what we end up doing. Not even I know. It's a long way away yet. Regional wealth. To spend it on goats or to spend it on fruit? I think I'm going to spend it on fruit. Simple reason. That fruit takes longer to produce fruit? To be fruitful? I suppose we could say that, couldn't we? Yes, as sooner we get the planting down over there, the better, really. Food, still not a problem. Still plots for us to be moving into. And we would like some more money. I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't like more money? But specifically for our sheep farms, really. We could do with a burgage being set up to make goods. One of you level 2s over here. How do you fancy being reassigned? Yes, it's going to be you. We're going to make you into an armourer's workshop. Yes, we are. And that's because you're right next door to where the storehouse is with all of the iron. So let's go over to this storehouse, actually, and update what you're allowed to stock. And we're going to let you stock helmets. And that's because we're going to be producing helmets at this armourer's workshop here. You'll be able to pop out the back, get all the resources you need, and pop back and forth. And in keeping, I suppose we should go down to this storehouse and say you're not allowed to keep any military goods. What else aren't you allowed to keep? You're allowed to keep those because you'll need to sell them. You don't really need metal parts. Spices? Goodness. How exotic. Don't have any of those, do we? An extra oxen wouldn't go amiss, but money is precious at the moment. Right, good. You're making helmets. That's what I want you to be doing. Go on then. Order another oxen. It'll be worth it in the end. Where do these free peoples live? What is your job, sir? You're a firewood cutter. Oh. And what's your job, sir? You're unassigned. You, my friend, are going to go and work at this granary. And I assume you've just moved in. You, my friend, are going to go and work at this storehouse. Start stocking goods for your local fellows as they move in over here. Planting going on there. Might as well get some quinces planted in there as well. And we ought to save up a little bit of money, actually, so that we can start exporting those helmets. We need 180 in the coffers to be able to buy that trade route. We'll also need more people working in the local area because there are the mines to run and the iron production to be done as well, yes. And also, we'll need to run more people into the trading post. So maybe let's just start with zooming in far too much. Zooming out far too much. Good grief, game. Come along. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Let's get a couple of burgages then. Popped in along here. We can get tighter than that, can't we? We can do better than that. Oh, we can do better than that. Come on. I barely want space for you to breathe when you're stood inside. That's more like it. And we will follow this along, and we'll just fill this last one out to this space, because that would seem to make sense to me. Having said that, apparently the game does not think it makes sense. So we're not going to do that. Come on. You've got more space than your neighbours. Fine, we won't fill you out to the edge. That's how you're going to be. Get you in there instead. So that's going to be 3 additional families. We could start to fill out another row here, I suppose. Is it worth getting another granary and storehouse set up? I always feel like we need more granaries and storehouses. Always a good thing to have more of. Well, let's do that. So maybe we'll face this way. We'll get a storehouse and granary good next to each other like that. We'll have a road that services both of those, and then a nifty little market in this gap here. Yes, I knew this was going to be for sheep. I changed my mind. It's going to be for people sheep now. They're like sheep, only they have far more rigorous demands, and they're much harder to get you to do what you want them to do. People sheep, everyone. I've introduced you to a new thing, I'm sure. Right, so burgage there, and we'll follow these on as previously discussed. A bit longer on the front there. I wish there was a way to like just get it to make minimum viable size. That would certainly make my life easier. Good grief, what's wrong with you, man? Come on. It's more like it. Gosh, my eyes are watering. I'm staring at the screen for so long trying to get that one placed. Okay, that just about fits. Don't want it to become too wedge-shaped. That line roughly needs to point down, you know, straight down. I suppose it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be perfect, does it? I've said it before, and I will say it again. There's perfection in imperfection. Or at least there's beauty in it. I don't know if there's perfection in it. That might be a claim too far, let's say. Right. Follow that along there. Not enough goods. Goodness. Spending all the goodies. Not got anything left. Imagine a few more people have moved in over here. They have. Let's get a worker at the... Not to the sheep farm. No. How are we doing over here? Let's get a worker at this granary. And a worker at this tannery. Good. And that goes back down to our one available family. And then once we get people moving in down here, we'll be able to assign them to work at the trading post. And also at the new storehouse and granary. And which reminds me, we should go in and set up what they are and aren't allowed. So, nothing military. No iron of any kind. Again, is there a way to copy and paste these lists? Because that would be wonderful. Just don't think there is. No. Such a shame. At least we don't need to do anything to do the... don't need to know to do anything. Such good English. Don't need to do anything with the granaries, I suppose. That's one upside. Look at that, they do start to stack up stuff they're not allowed. If you give them half a chance. It should all be being handled by you, sir. We're not producing enough iron ore, are we? But that's something else we'll start to produce once we have a few more families moving into these burgages down here. Alrighty then, so we've upgraded some of these to level 2 burgage blocks, got an additional worker at the iron mines, hopefully getting a little bit more ore so we can turn that into slabs, into lovely helmets and tools as well that we can then sell on at the trading post. We do need a few more people to move in so we can up the number of workers over here, as I shall do so now and there, for example, at the mining pit, and get some workers at the sheep trading post as well, or the livestock trading post rather, so we can start importing some sheep. and generally get more people moving in. So once we get down to maybe 5 or maybe just 1 burgage left for someone to move into, we'll get back to construction and we'll revisit a bit of an expansion then. So I'm going to go away and make a cup of tea. So I'll leave this running. We'll get a bit of immigration in, and I'll see you shortly. A few more people have moved in, and I think it's time to start adding some more burgage plots down to 2 available living spaces. I've popped extensions on some of these over here as well. Now what I've done is I've traced over this line here, and what we're going to do is delete this here. There we go. And that'll leave us with a double width part of our Megadorf. And that, my friends, is going to contain some burgages. So let's see how we could lay these out in here. Ooh, yes, a little something like that is what I was imagining. Maybe we just draw that line there manually. It's still going to clip to the top? No, it's frustrating. Right. Maybe come down 1 less there. Oh, I know, we'll put in a road. Maybe we'll pop in a road. Little something like that there. Yeah, that looks alright. And then we'll go and get our burgages and see if we can't spread some out in this space here. And, ooh, do we want them to be doubled up? I want them to have a reasonable garden space. I think that's probably about right. So we'll get, oh, we could go for 5. Oh, go on, we'll put 5 in. And then I think we'll repeat that. Break it up again about here. And about here. And finally, about there. Good, okay. They're not exactly even, are they? But they don't really need to be. Might just back this one off a little bit to be a little more representative of those that it's next to. Sure, that's fine. And then we'll get some burgages in this one as well. And we'll go for 5 in that one as well. And then these will of course need their own granaries and storehouses to keep them equipped. So let's follow this road down here. And then we'll pop a granary, and a storehouse, and yes, some water in here. Wouldn't seem a bad notion. And then a little market stall, just encompassing this area here. We turn off snapping. Yep, perfect, exactly what I was looking for. So that's going to give us plenty of space for this moving. And goodness, look at the regional wealth. It's shot up ever since I was able to finally actually buy the trade route for helmets, which we hadn't done until that point. Yes, rather embarrassing. We also seem to be on top of the iron situation. Yep, reasonably so. We've got about 40. So we seem to be making use of that. Okay, with all this money then, let's go over here and make sure that we have got some various plants going in. Trees, rather, at the back there. We can reopen import on livestock. Put a temporary pause on that. Oh, no, oh dear. Import, there we go. Import sheep. Let's get 20. We've got someone working at the sheep farm. The goal is to get to close as quickly as possible to see if we can't get approval up to 80%. Now we've got a bit of money as well. Let's go to the trade post. We'll get another horse for starters. An extra family working here. And then let's go ahead and open up an import on large stone, and on roof tiles, and on mortar. 2020, yep, and just to make sure that we can start getting the materials we need to upgrade to the stone church, because of course that will help as well. We will also put an import in on rubble stone to keep that at about 100, because we've exhausted our own local supply. 7+3 on the burgage plots. While we have a few families available for construction, let's start getting some vegetable plots popped in down here. So it's going to be the veritable bread basket of the region, despite the fact they're not going to be producing any bread. So we'll do that all the way across there. Might as well get the granary and storehouse upgraded there to large as well. And I would like to carry on with the outer rim that we've been planning, with our little burgage plots that are going to have trees all the way around the outside of the Megadorf. An awfully quaint idea for what is not going to be a very quaint city. Yes, right, if I... Yes, right. These are a bit of a pain, aren't they? But they need to be done. Maybe we'll just do them a little bit over time. We'll come back and right, let's do a couple more on the outer rim. I can't say outer rim without thinking about a certain franchise. I don't know about you. I'm scared to say their name. Almost certainly get copywritten. They're not the friendliest bunch, I've heard, when it comes to copyright strikes. And we are but a little channel, we can't be affording such nasty interactions. Okay. Let's just fill out to this road we've got on the right-hand side here with these burgages for the time being, and I think that'll do for the moment in terms of how many of these we want to put in at any given time, because they are a little bit tedious. Don't need to be perfect, they just do need to look reasonably good. The snap there is actually working okay for the second point. I'm going to break away from it here just because we're not going to get fit 3 in here, are we? Who are we? We might. Come on. One there. One hit. And then one there. Oh, go on. Oh. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think we're getting 2 in here. Let's put a slightly larger one in then. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, those under construction. How are we doing with the old market stall? Again, not too bad. We need maybe a few extra storehouse workers. Let's get an additional storehouse worker up here then. And once again, these should maybe upgrade to a large storehouse and granary. No one moving in down here yet. Money's gone down a bit, but I imagine that's because we're importing sheep, which indeed we are. And we've got the sheep worker there, so we're starting to get some wool in. A splendid start, up to 9. So we'll need to get a weaver operational. My fully operational weaver's shop. Oh dear, it's obviously in my head today, isn't it? I do apologise, everyone. Okay. I kind of wish at this stage we had another ×4 speed. That would be great. Because I feel it's a little slow, even at this point. I think it's partly because I've just been playing a rather fast-paced game, which you've seen on the channel recently. And the pacing is definitely very different, isn't it, to Manor Lords? That's for sure. So in terms of exports that are going to bring us money, obviously we're going to want to expand our ironworks to make more armours for us to sell on the market, which are going to make big bucks like that is there. That's sale of helmets. We'll also want to, I think, sell some fruits, some vegetables. Cabbages tend to sell quite well, as well as do pears, if we're making enough of them, that is. We should do. And then it would be nice as well to sell some excess sheep. Usually end up doing that, don't we? So I think that's another good route for us to go. I think it's time we excommunicated these burgages. Don't like them at all. You can go and move in over here. And then we'll buy you some seeds to get going. How's that sound? Sounds good, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Good. Okay. That works out, actually, because they were doubled up down there already, weren't they? So we've just been able to spread those families out to work even more arable land. I think we might even do the same for these little mortgages here. Goodbye, little mortgages. Goodness, right. Well, that suddenly filled everyone up, actually. So, to make sure we don't miss any migration, let's quickly get some expansions popped on these burgages down here. And we'll just do that to all of these. Should we have the timber, which we do appear to have. Aye. Okay. What do we want to fill this space up with down here, then? Get rid of that. We could do a little bit more industry. We could put some more smaller burgages in, couldn't we? It's reasonably close to the mining areas. We're probably going to want to as well get some workers at this granary and storehouse now that we've got lots of people living over here. So let's... Oh, I suppose we could make this some pasture space. It's reasonably near where our sheep farms are. I mean, that's closer up there, isn't it? Or do we copy over this road once more? A little something like this here. And just come as far as here. Delete that. And then put in a couple more long burgages. We fill up to the space here. How's that look? Awful. What if we did this? Yes, it's better. Okay, we'll get 3 in there. Then we've got a little space in here for something. Yeah, feels like a well would be a good idea. We'll get that there. I'll resist saying well. Oh dear, it happened anyway. Oh well. We'll buy some seeds for those, and a couple of expansions for them as well. So we've got 13 available spots plus 7, so plenty of space now we've got those expansions popped on. So as people move in, we'll get them working at the granary and the storehouse down here to make sure we keep up with that demand. Might make sense as well to get a few more burgages popped in over here so we can have enough workers to work the weavers' workshops as well as the sheep farm going forward. We have got a few here which will be moved into before too long, but we've got the lumber. So why don't we pop some in here as well? Not quite filling out there, is it? What if we did it in 2 halves? Okay, it does work, but it looks a little bit odd. Let's turn off snapping here, maybe, for this. Okay, so 3 there. 3 there. Grand. How are we doing for money? Not got loads, but I am going to buy a couple of pigs for these extensions over here, which we have not bought anything thus far. And I'm going to do the same if we've got enough to do all of these back here as well. Get a few piggies. And as I think about the amount of forest land we have, which of course is a bonus to our small holdings at the rear, I think we probably ought to start thinking about the environment. And that of course means getting down some foresters' huts. So let's pop down a couple of those there, and we'll just sporadically pop these around the outside of our Megadorf here to make sure that we can maintain the tree population, or indeed grow it in the short term. We could probably do with another oxen, because we could always do with another oxen, and probably do with a few more stables as well. We have got another one in here, but you know, you can never have too many stables, and by Jove, there's not a half bad space for it here, is there? So let's pop a road in like so to service those, and can we squeeze another in here? Oh, somewhere. Oh yes, very nice. Let's make this a larger well, and anywhere that's over here that doesn't have anything planted up, we'll get in a couple more cabbages. Oh yes, and we need to build some gardens, vegetable gardens on the rear over here as well. Good, loads of space for people moving in. Approval, that's a good. People aren't overly happy. Meats, fish, animal produce is what people are missing. Well, we should be making a bit of milk going forwards, so that should hopefully help with the animal produce side of things. And how are we doing for wool? We have no wool. We have 32 yarn though, so we are starting to make some yarn. One of these burgages down here, perhaps they will become our clothiers, because they're near the relative industry and the local storehouse, which is dedicated to such goods. Which is you? Yes, it's you. There's no one over here moved in recently to work there, though. Where do you work? Herder. Yes, okay. When people start moving in here, we can start progressing this industry by getting someone working at the storehouse and a few more working. Get one of these upgraded to level 2. Oh, what do you do? Unassigned. Oh, perfect. Right, you can go and work at that storehouse, and we'll get that upgraded to a large storehouse as well. You're not to have a market stall. You're there purely to supply the local clothing industry. Does that mean you're going to be next to move in? Are we exhausted? I suppose you've all been built more recently than down here, haven't you? Okay, so we may have people moving in the right place after all. So many of you could be ready to upgrade to level 2. That would be great. Because then we could make you into a clothier. Although you are working down here now. Okay, maybe when your neighbour moves in and gets to level 2, you can be the clothier. Right. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Hey, we've got plenty of stables down here. Look. Right, another ox. Why not? What's the iron ore situation? Holding steady. So we seem to have 2 workers at the bloomery and 5 workers in the pits. We seem to be keeping steady. We'll need to get those mines dug a bit deeper before too long, though. Let's get a few more vegetables in down here. Let's rather burn through our supplies, because we've got through that stockpile of helmets we had, so we don't have any big bucks coming out at the moment, but we are done buying sheep at least. So we can probably go ahead and do away with our livestock trader for the time being. I assume we're turning all of our wool into yarn. We are indeed. Good. And once again, we're waiting for a few more people to move in, aren't we? Any of you moved in? No, you're all still red. And maybe a couple of the extensions over here predated those buildings up there. I don't remember. Oh, these here, look. We can make those into stables, can't we? We'll do that. We've got an additional logging camp here, helping to clear out the trees that are in our way over there. Okay, we've got an upgrade ready down there. We'll, of course, oblige. 72% approval. It's that meats and animal produce that's holding us back, isn't it, as well as the garments? We'll get there. Sometime, I think, yet, before we'll be able to afford buying in the malt we need to make our own beverages. But never fear, we'll get there. One day. One day we'll get there. What else can we do? We could put some more burgages in here, couldn't we? Do we want burgages in there? No, actually, I think we probably want another trading post. Ready in anticipation for when we need to export even more goodies. So we'll get one there. And might even get one sat behind it here. And then maybe a... maybe not a storehouse. Maybe not a granary. Okay, well in that case, some stables to take care of all the horsey needs that these trading posts shall surely exude upon us. We are... ooh, 333, very nice. We are still bringing in a little bit of money at least. Anyone else moving over here? No. Where are these extra families moving in? It must be over here. Indeed. Well, in that case, another granary and storehouse worker, I think. Oh, goodness, we're right on top of that situation, aren't we? That's good to see. Do with a few more burgages with pigs and goats. I suppose that's what these could be here, couldn't they? So let's get some animal pens popped in. I know we said that one of these at least will be a clothier. But that's something to worry about down the line. They could at least have some goats or something in the meantime. And you waste a couple of planks if we don't end up doing it. All of these, though, do need to be converted out for orchards, so we might as well get on and do that at this juncture. How many trees, I wonder, are they going to have? We'll probably check over here, can't we? How many trees are you going to have? 4. That's fine. That gives us 2 lines, 2 rows. I think that could look lovely. That is, after all, the whole point. I suppose you might as well plant some apples as soon as you've moved in. I'll avoid buying anything for you until you're operational. Right, it looks like once again we're waiting for people to move in. The situation is fine. We could do with a bit more food, but soon that is not going to be a problem with the mass industry we have set up here, ready to make us lots and lots of veggies, and it still only takes a tiny part of the Megadorf. Goodness, you're really starting to appreciate how large this is. We've already got 129 people living here, and we are not occupying, not even really at 20%, are we? If that. Okay, we'll let some families move in, and then we'll be right back. It's taking a jolly good old time to get people moved in over here. We've just started moving in on the top row here of our orchards, because everyone's been filling out the extensions we put in over here, expansions rather. That was a mistake, but it's being done now, so that's that. But we do have enough, though, is materials to build our church. So let's upgrade that, and then once that's done, we're once again just waiting for a few more people to move into these available living spaces so we can get our, gosh darn, clothing industry set up. It's really our goal over here. Spending quite a lot of our money importing things like oxen and on horses as well. So we'll make sure we get these hitching posts upgraded here to small stables. So we have plenty of space. Might as well put a stone well in there as well. And once we've got our clothing industry up and running, I think we'll focus on some more burgages around the iron pits so we can get more workers in the pits. And speaking of which, 131 on the site, we can get these, I think we should rather get these deep mines installed. Yeah, rather run out of cash. Get those up to deep mines, get a few more people over here working in them, get a few more people making armour to sell, and that'll also boost our income, maybe even enough to start considering getting ourselves a little bit of malt. And as we wait for the church to be upgraded, something else we can probably get down as well is our first tavern. So let's pop one in here, and we'll try and distribute these around to make sure that everyone is going to be well and truly serviced. Oh, is there a spot in here? Oh, nearly, not quite. So I guess we'll have to put one just here instead. I guess we'll go there. Then carry this road up. In fact, we can probably get a little closer there, can't we, to the edge? Get a tavern popped in on the end there. Then we'll pop one in over here ready as well. I've also gone to the... yeah, it's right in the middle. It's no good at all, is it? Do better than that, can't we? Panel snapping. Make better use of the space. Good. We've also gone and put in a few larger holes here, there and there. The intent being for some larger orchards, because I'm not sure how much these are going to realistically be producing up the rear here. But we'll keep appeasing them up here so long as they are moving in. But they're not our current goal. That's going to be down here. Okay, right. Plenty of construction going on. I think we'll let them get to it, and you know the score. Wait for people to move in. So some time has passed, the church has been built, and so have all our taverns. all of these buildings along the back here are now upgraded to level 2, and we've got all of their lovely little trees going in. And what's this? Oh, finally, someone on this row has moved in, and we're upgrading them to level 2. Just as soon as they are, we'll get them making a little bit of clothing. We're all waiting for you, sir. Come along. Move along now. Build up. Move along. Come on. Move along now. Good. Wonderful. Right. Take away your goats and make you a tailor. Good. We've got absolutely stacks of yarn. 265 ready to go. So we'll start making that into clothes in a jiffy. We may even make the next chap that moves in a clothier as well. You never know. Make good use of them and all that. 5 available burgage spots left. We could put expansions on here, but I don't see the point. So we're going to be expanding over in this direction next, most likely. But to do so, make clothes. You need to be making yarn-based clothes. Yarn is what we have. Use what you have, not what you want. Good, right, so let's get some extra burgages popped in while that's all going on. Are we going to be able to get anything on this here, or is it simply too steep? Good grief! How are we allowed to do that? Some of the things this game lets you do compared to some of the things it doesn't is absolutely outrageous. Yeah, we might as well fill that up, basically. Good. Yes, you're taxing me, it doesn't matter. He's not going to send an army, is he? Famous last words. So, we'll put a road in there, and I think there's a pretty good distribution of burgages. So it's going to give us a whole bunch of workers who are in the close vicinity of the ironworks. I did set up an additional bloomery as well, and that's because with the deep mines we were producing a lot more iron ore. You can see we're up to 456, so I had to get some additional iron being made in the bloomery. With that in mind also, we could probably do with a few more bloomeries. So I'm going to get down another one right here next to the first. Do something like that. And we may even get 3 down. Ooh, cheeky. And then we'll put a road up there. Good. So that should do a good job of increasing our production there. And may even put some more burgages in behind. If we extend that road right out to that lovely little forester's hut there, and then we'll fill in this whole blob with burgages. There's probably space for a road in the middle there without just diminishing the number of burgages that we have. So we'll get 6 in there, and 5 in there. That's fine. Okay, it doesn't need to be completely tightly packed, and they've got access to a tavern there. It might be that we put another one down here somewhere, just once again, future-proofing for, the future and all that. We've only got 2 people that are currently available for construction, so I'm not going to assign anyone to any additional jobs just yet. We are starting to get a little filled up on the old sheeps. So let's get a few additional sheep pens put in place. So we'll fill out this space here. Let's make more efficient use of it if we split it in half properly, won't we? Because if it's a full one, space for about 40. And if we do 2 strips, we get 34 from that one. And 33 from that one, so about 60 instead of about 40. Would be nice if they fixed that particular little glitch. Fill that spot in there as well. Good, and our little experiment with the outside edge of trees seems to be going well. I totally don't lie awake at night thinking about how that's going to go. No, that's not something I would ever do. Get you some goats and get you upgraded at the same time. Do like how these pop up on the hill here. I was really worried we weren't going to be able to build anything there at all, but it looks like we will and can, so very pleased with that. It's going swimmingly. Okay, right, well, we're selling all of the lovely helmets we're making. So it'd be nice once we get some people moving in over here to start selling even more lovely things like breastplates, for example, and chainmail. That is the name of the game. Probably some weapons as well along the way. Marketplace, etc. is still absolutely fine, which reminds me we probably ought to have some full granary and storehouse to service all of our lovely new people over here. So we'll get down the usual. No, that's too steep. That's fair. Where can we get you in here? There. It's fine, doesn't bother me at all. And then you'll need some sort of water, one presumes. Oh goodness, how on earth are we going to have people moving over here? Oh, we can get some water over there at least. Genuine concern. How far does a stone well service? Well, we're going to have to get this well upgraded to stone well, that's for sure. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's put one up here as well. Might be alright on this side. It's the other side of the Megadorf where I'm a little bit concerned. And market stall. It's the next thing I was doing, wasn't it? I don't believe these care for a little bit of hillage. Resilient like that, these are. Okay, so we'll fill that space there. And then, once again, granary and storehouse over here. Granary. And storehouse there. And a market stall filling out this space just below. Or maybe this space here. Maybe not all of this space here. Maybe just half of it. Yes. Good. Lots of lovely new burgages popped in over there. We're at 73% approval. Are we starting to get some clothes on the market? We are. Clothing is on the market. Why aren't you all more happy? You're probably even starting to get some of the garments, aren't you? Still shy on animal produce and fruits. Fruits hopefully is something we'll start to be producing a little of before too long. Garments as well is actually in production, so that should be taken care of. We've got a fair bit of cash now, so I'm going to get ahead of the game. And we're going to establish a trade route. Oh, plate armour. Goodness, worth 19 each. So just as soon as we have some people moving over here, that is one of the industries we want to get running. ASAP Rocky. Indeed. Upgrade you there. And let's make you another clothier. Seems a good notion to eye. And it seems we're shy on animal produce. I think all of you are going to be animal pens. And you're all going to be looking after some goats. And with those goats, you shall make milk. And with that milk, you shall satisfy the needs of your contemporaries, whom live in nicer accommodation, with lovely orchards in their back gardens, instead of mining pits. But never fear. The good old working class of Nuzhole will not be forgotten. Speaking of Nuzhole, I think we probably ought to rename it Megadorf, hadn't we? Goodbye, Nuzhole. It's been fun. Megadorf. Very good. Make it so. Smallholders. Which is what we are. Righty. All going rather swimmingly, isn't it, so far? Ignore the debt. I know I do in real life. Ha ha ha! The pain is real. Oh dear. Well, if you do want to help out with that, then feel free to become a member. Yeah, memberships tend to be invested back into the channel. Don't worry, don't worry. Okay. Awkward jokes aside, let's upgrade some granaries and storehouses over here. How's the old dedicated place going? Rather well. I take it you're taking care of all of our excess iron. Doesn't look like it. Where's the rest of our iron going? Have we been setting up new storehouses without the correct limitations? I suppose these haven't been limited yet, but we haven't got anyone working there either. You haven't got any iron. Neither have you. Nor have you. You? Oh dear, we forgot to set up the limits. No, naughty. No iron. Tools you can have. No yarn. And you shan't have hides. What else? Absolutely not. None of the military goods, thank you very much. You can have fuel. I'll grant you that. No wool. No iron. Goodness. All this rubbish you're storing. Well, not rubbish, but it's meant to be somewhere else. You shouldn't really have leather either. How's that? Well, I should kick out most of the unnecessary gunk that you've got here. Send it back to where it should be. No point someone walking all the way over here for iron when they're working here, is there? Goodness gracious. Some people are just so inefficient. Ooh, upgrade. Second clothier. Where are you? Yeah. Good, you're making yarn as well. That's what I wanted to see. Making clothes from yarn. Look at that, 50 clothes. What's the approval? 79%? Oh, the garments are getting about. You've even got animal produce. Well, the fruits are getting out as well now. How many fruits do we have? None. just the people who grow them. That's fair enough. They are pretty small burgages. We ought to get some more being made before too long. In fact, maybe we should convert this space here into some large orchards. So let's take this road, and we'll just build all the way across the top of it. It gets a little bit more wobbly every time we do this. It doesn't really matter so long as it looks right. and as we've said time and again, there's perfection and imperfection. Let's not judge it too harshly. And then I think it'll just be this one here that's split into two. Almost seems pointless. We'll do it anyway for the moment. Might delete it later. Get rid of that section of road there. And this will be the next area for more burgages. So we'll build these in here. And yep, that seems good number there to make some lovely large orchards for us. Now, how are we doing for cabbages? 546, excellent. So I have set up trade on cabbages, so that we are exporting everything over 500, because I feel more than 500 cabbages, and that will probably give us a bit of a problem in terms of the local air quality. As they go off, of course, is what I mean. Okay, let's go ahead and buy a whole load of goats along here, ready for when everyone moves in, so they can move in, and they have a lovely welcome gift of a goat. It's a lovely thing to find, isn't it, when you arrive? Oh, goodness, look! Agatha, we've got a goat. Oh, Hughes, isn't that wonderful? Trying to come up with some generic names there and didn't do very well, did I? Never mind. Keep making some upgrades, keep getting people moving in. Just really scrabble that last 2% to get to 80% and plus 2 monthly migration would just be so wonderful. Just not quite getting there. We are going to need to up our fuel production at some point because we are definitely in a deficit. Let's get an extra worker at the charcoal kiln. So we're turning all of that firewood into charcoal. And we may need to move our woodcutters lodge actually somewhere close to where, you know, there's wood. Seems a sensible thing to do. So we'll move that all the way out to the outskirt over here for the time being. It might be worth moving our charcoal kiln too eventually, but we'll hold off on that just for the second. Let's set up our limits here. So you may have tools. You may not have any of that. You don't need any of it. You know, no, you don't really need leather. Don't need iron. You don't need any of that, do you? You don't need any military either. So fuel, commodities. I was about to say, where's the food? But this is a storehouse. That's where the food is, in the granary. Get that upgrade going there. How are we doing? 8 unassigned families, so we can get a few of those assigned then, I would presume. So let's get 2 locals working in that bloomery. And maybe you 2 as well. How are we doing over here? You're obviously all up and running. And are we turning all of our wool into yarn? That's something else to check. Yes, we are. So the weavers' workshops there are doing absolutely fine. Storehouse supply chain is looking a little bit stretched. So let's get a worker in our new storehouse over here. So we get something up and running at this market. Might even get 2. There seems to be a bit of a problem there at the moment. Where do you all live? Good gracious, you live over there? And where do you live? You both live over there. That won't do. Oh, no one works there then. You might as well work at your local storehouse. Get a worker there. And there's probably a more local one to you than that, isn't there anyway? There's 3 working there. Yes, it's storehouse here. Right. Let's set up your limits then. Once again, commodities, firewoods, some tools. Get someone working there and upgrade you at the same time. People moving in now at a fairly decent rate at Miners Row. Oof, we've dropped 1%. I guess that's the apples and pears, etc. going off of the market. Fruits, that's the word I'm looking for. Speaking of fruits, let's get a few more orchards over here in our newly established orchard row. What's our population looking like these days? 201, and we are filling up this much space. So 2, 4, at least space for 800 people in this Megadorf, isn't there? I suspect a whole lot more than that, because we're not really making use of the entire girth of the Megadorf over here either yet. Good, good, good. Right, what are we looking at next then? Regional wealth. That's what we want to up. We want to make some lovely, lovely breastplates, don't we? We've got plenty of iron. Got a few workers. Why don't we... What do you do? Charcoal burner. What do you do? Smelter, what do you do? Unassigned. I'm actually going to strip off 2 bloomery workers and send them to work at the woodcutter's lodge, because we did strip that when we moved it. And then if anyone over here is still unassigned, you're not, you're now fibre cutter. As soon as someone else moves in over here, we're going to take away their goats, I know, savage, and get them working on making some more armour for sale. Because one chap making helmets isn't quite cutting it. Okay, and we'll finish buying goats for the top lot over here if we can afford to do so. All the way along. And hopefully when we start making some breastplates, we'll get to the point where we can start to afford importing a little bit of malt. And with that, or even barley would make more sense, wouldn't it? So with that barley, we'll want to make malt. So somewhere near the trade posts, which are here, it would make sense to have a malt house. So maybe we can get 2 in here. If we get 1, maybe not. Okay, get 1 malt house here. We'll also want to start bringing in bread as well. So where are we going to put our first windmill? Somewhere on this hill? It makes sense, doesn't it? Get the windmill there. And to start with, we'll need a bakery for that. So put a bakery down next door. And your own granary to store wheat and to store, well, store grain, I suppose. Possibly bread. Get that pot just behind. So it's starting to get a little bit of that industry ready for when we have the money. We'll need a farmhouse to turn our wheat into grain. Ooh, could fit that just there, but no, we want it on the inside ring. Oh, we'll pop it down there. That's good. That's all in one place there. Okay. 21 available living spaces, and we've had a few people move in down here, I take it. You just moved in? You have. Good. Right. You need to be level 2 before I can make you what I want you to be. Come along now. Just kill your goat. That'll take care of your meat supply, and then I'll be able to upgrade you. For goodness sake. Okay, well in that case, we might as well take someone from over here. Your job will be filled by someone that's just moved in. So, you're going to be an armourer's workshop. And actually, we're going to do that with the 2 here. And your job at the storehouse will be taken over by someone else, I presume. Yes, indebted to the king. Doesn't matter. He doesn't really care about us. Right, I imagine one day that won't be the case, and I'm going to pay for it when that day comes. But that day is not yet. So you're making plate armour. Do we have the money to establish a trade route? To start buying, not buying out, but selling mail. Not quite yet. We'll set that to export. We might just wait a second for that to be ready. And in that case, what we'll do is we'll set the 3rd armourer's workshop here to make mail armour. So that we're making mail armour, plate armour, and helmets. Wonderful. Malt house is being constructed. And we just need to wait until we've got 650? 640 to establish export from there. And already, plate armour is entering the storehouses, which will soon be sold for enormous profit. Good. Right, once again, wait for a little immigration, and with any luck, before long, we'll be up to 80% approval. Joe, would you look at that? 81% approval, ladies and gentlemen. Huzzah! I guess we're starting to get a little bit more in the way of meat and animal produce onto the market. Still doesn't look like a great deal though, and it looks like some of the apples and pears, etc., are coming in as well. So I'm sure that's contributing towards the 81% approval. So now we are cooking with gas. We've got 12 burgage plots left for people to move in, largely concentrated over here, and then we'll be moving on to these here. Money is absolutely pouring in, and that's coming from all of our lovely breastplate, mail, and helmet sales. And we've got a few more of these set up over here, making a combination of breastplates and mail. Mostly breastplates, 3 additional of those. And we're still looking good in terms of our iron. And, oh, no, we're not. Oh, goodness, it's changed. We're going through all our iron. Okay. We need to get this bloomery back active, so we'll get that one operational. And then we'll look to increase the number of bloomeries we have as well. Oh, good, a little bit of space in here. Oh, wonderful. We'll get 2 in there. What I'd like to see, and possibly another one in here as well. Good stuff. Okay. Granaries are starting to look a little pressed, and so are storehouses, so we're getting a few extra workers in those as and when we can. But it might be time to consider buying in what we need to start making either bread or alcohol. Now we need alcohol first. People don't care about bread, not until the next level up, so they need alcohol. So I think it's probably would make sense for us to start importing a little bit of barley. So let's say we want 200 barley at any given time. And what I've gone around as well and done just now is I've been taking off crops from most of the granaries around here. And that's because we don't actually want them distributed across all our various granaries. We'd rather have them at this granary over here, which is located right next to the windmill. Actually, no, we don't want them there. I tell a lie. Get rid of that. We want them here. That's what we set up this granary for, specifically. So you're not going to have a market stall. You are just going to be storing... Tell you what. Do we want you to have barley? Where did we put our little malt boy? We didn't put him over here, did we? Oh dear, no. I'm getting terribly confused. You are going to be for those things. Over here, malt house is here. So we want this local granary here. We need a local granary, I should say. We don't want this one specifically. You're busy. So let's make another granary. Can we fit that in there? Oh, just here. Perfect. Nearly perfect. If we put it here, look. And build the road there. Oh, yes. That will be perfection. So we can connect to the malt house here. Okay, so we'll get a family working there, and we'll set that up to just basically store barley, malt, and then alcohol potentially as well. Although everyone needs to store that, because they need to distribute it to their lovely patrons. Let's upgrade that burgage while we have the opportunity. Wait for this granary to come together. It's just rather misty, isn't it? All the snow coming down. Not really mist, is it, if it's snow? Is that a snowstorm? Blizzard. That's the word I'm looking for. Blizzard. What a blizzard going on. I can only see as far as the tree line. Okay. Come along now. Get going. It's going to be barley arriving any minute, and we don't have somewhere to set up to take it. Goodness, look at all that money coming in. Making an absolute killing from these armory exports, which is good to see. Do love a bit of arms profiteering. Still not quite on top of the iron production situation, so we'll have to get some additional workers at these bloomeries before too long. Now, we do want to expand to the whole Megadorf, so I want to be a bit cautious about upgrading too far. I would like to get to level 3 though. The higher the burgage plot, the happier people tend to be, and their happiness cap goes up. So, you know, it would help keep everything good. And it would be nice to get everything up to at least level 3, I suppose, but we'll see how we go. That might be a lot to buy in, but having said that, we're making a lot on exports, so it might be feasible. Right, this granary is up, so you're not going to have a market stall, and you are... you can stuff those. But primarily you're here to store barley, and then malt. Does malt go to a storehouse? No, there, good. There was a time when you couldn't find that in the list. And then we'll upgrade it before we set anyone working there, because why not? Brilliant. And then we'll get someone at the malt house, though. Got a little ways to walk, have you? Where do you live? Not ideal. Could we perhaps get someone more local? What do you do? You're a smelter. Okay, I'm going to reassign you. Where am I? What do you do? Trader. I'm going to reassign you to this malt house. And then we'll get someone else to do your job. The trading post. Set you here. Okay. We'll get some more local burgages down here over time, and as these upgrade to level 3 as well, which hopefully we'll do before too long, there'll be extra people moving into these 4 here to give more people to work in this rather busy little industrial quarter we've got set up here. Oh, look! Upgrades. I do think we will oblige. No one moving in there just yet, because they need to fill up over here first, but they're making a fair job of it. We're down to 6 available living spaces. So we're definitely going to need to get on top of that. We should be producing a little bit of malt, which of course means we're going to need to get a brewery, aren't we? Yes, 6 malt. I suppose that'll be one of you down here anyway, won't it? Okay, you're going to become a brewery, because that's nice and local. To the granary that's going to store the goods. Could almost do with a couple more burgages right down here. Well, actually, you know what we could do? we could move this logging camp over here, freeing up a bit of space here for some more burgages. And I don't really want to get rid of that road. We'll just fill this space up as best we can. So how many can we get in here? Okay. That'll do. The first burgage was put in facing the other way. We need to do that more often. Got an entire inner ring here we haven't put anyone on either. I definitely want them facing the inner ring though, those burgages. Because those burgages facing the inner ring is going to give us that beautiful edging, the Megadorf, the internal area. Pasture space is an issue, so let's add a little bit more in while we're thinking about it. Where are we going to put it though? It's becoming very busy over here. Let's go over here for a moment. Or do we just bite the bullet and start doing some pasture space in the Megadorf itself? Let's do that. In and around the church here. And can we just follow that pattern? Looks like we can. Make best use of the space. Oh, yes. Oh, no. It wasn't quite as good there, was it? Okay, it's just a bit of an odd shape for that one, and then they'll go back to that lovely shape we had. One of those has space for 30, which seems a decent number. Doesn't look as pretty as it was one big open field, but it's more efficient, and you know, that's all that really matters. Oh, look at this! So many people ready for level 2 have been level 1 for absolutely ages. Let's get all you upgraded. La-da-da. Good. There's a whole bunch of upgrades on the way. I imagine we've still got problems with Marketplace. Yes, we have. We rather need to get a few more granaries operational, don't we? Let's get 3 families at this granary here. And we'll get a couple of families at this storehouse, just the one for the moment. Start addressing various supply chain issues we have. My goodness, we're rather running out of materials, aren't we? We've got this logging camp operational. There's not many trees nearby, are there? Eventually we'll start doing some deforestation over here. But for the time being, we're still working on planting it up. Are we actually doing any hunting? You are doing some. You could almost do with an extra person working there, couldn't you? You don't seem to be making much of a dent. No timber. Well, we finally get to 84% approval, and we run into a bit of a materials shortage. But that's easily taken care of. We'll just have, as we extend out to the end here, we'll be able to start harvesting all these trees here without too much of a walking distance. But, as you can see, we're starting to fill out nicely. We're up to a population of 261, and I'd say things are going pretty well. Okay, so we're up to 84% approval, and we're really cooking with gas now with 2 families moving in a month, and oh my goodness, we're down to 2 available living spaces. Plenty of upgrades we can be executing over here, but we've not got that many families available, so I think it's time we move on and get a few more burgages popped down here. So why don't we fill out this space we have available to us here, and we'll go out to where we currently have our woodcutter's lodge located. We haven't got loads of materials set aside, so we're not going to build too many. Ooh, we can very nearly get another extra family in there. So maybe let's unsnapify our snap points and come a little closer to this side. See if we can't make that work. Not enough goods. Goodness. How many do we need? 14. We have 12. Come on, we can get there. Do we need to go and change a limit somewhere to give us more than 12 at any given time? We might well need to do so. Where is our lovely friends at the old Timby Cutty? I believe those are the technical terms. Where are you? I know you're in here somewhere. Down to one house, man. I need you. I need you to stop eating all my logs, my timber. They should be called logs, shouldn't they? They should be called timber once they're planks. I suppose they're planks at that point, aren't they? Yeah, perhaps my scheme doesn't work so well. Ah! There you are. 20. Good. Right. By the time I'm done clicking, we should have those. Oh, it's up here, isn't it? Goodness. I almost put them in the wrong place. Bit too close to the top there. Bit too close to the bottom here. Needs to be just right. Like that. Good. Right. Some additional burgages going up. We've got a granary here. Can we fit a road in there? Probably not. Okay, we'll just have to put one here instead. And we've got a granary storehouse over here. We've got a large granary there. Is this going to be enough to service that? Probably not, given that we're already running into a few supply chain problems. So I think we'll have to give you your own granary and storehouse. Oh, could we fit both in here? Maybe not both. Okay, we'll put the granary there. And then storehouse we'll put in here, I suppose. Or maybe even opposite here. Yes, I think we'll do that. Spin that round and get that opposite where the granary's going. And then we can make use of this space here for a market stall. Plenty of dwelling spots in there for that. Do you all have water? You do. So that stone well we popped down is doing a good job. It's going to have to because we can't get much closer. Where is it currently located? Down here? Yeah, it's stone well there. We'll probably do with getting a well in here, a stone well, so we might have to redo that little area there at some juncture. We can get one in here, so we'll put that down and try and remember to make that into a stone well. And can we get anything over here at all? Where's the next nearest point? Here, probably. So I'll have to put that down there, and remember to make that a stone well also. So, burgages are up. People are probably already about to start moving in. We've got a few people unassigned over here. Well, let's get you some additional living space, actually, to start with, because you're going to be needed for the granary we have down here, which is a barley granary. Yes, of course, and to work in the malt house. So how are we doing on the old malt and barley? We set up a lovely little ale boy. How are you doing? So, yeah, we've got 136 ale. My goodness. We've still got a bit of money. Well, our approval is about to skyrocket, I think. Let's upgrade all of these to level 2. Yeah, running short on logs again. Oh dear, not enough construction materials. It's no good, is it? Well, it seems we've got more people moving in over here. I think perhaps we should start to look towards the forestry a little bit more. And maybe fill out to the end and start working around this way. Get a few logging camps put in to work on bringing us more logs to make sure we've got the building materials we need to make the Megadorf a reality. To that end, should we plan out where those are going to go? So, I was sort of imagining to go on the, maybe this here, just on the inside of the second rung. Don't on the outside, because that's where our lovely tree line's going to be. So perhaps just back from that. We should probably get a couple more connecting roads here as well. Maybe we'll come across this point. A little something like that, and I can't quite copy it because we put that granary and storehouse. But we could do it here. And try and get that roughly the same on both sides. How's that look? Yeah, I think that's okay. In fact, then what we might do is place this one relative to where we end up putting the logger camps. So let's get 1, 2, 2 I think for the time being. And then maybe a bit further along, we'll have, maybe even on this side, we'll have a charcoal. So we'll have a couple of woodcutters' lodges. Fit on that side? Not quite. So, 1, I suppose we might as well have them on the outside then if we're doing that. So, 1 and 2 next to it. And then we'll go and get a charcoal kiln or 2. And pop those there. Maybe 2 of those, in which case it might be prudent to go ahead and get a few more woodcutters' lodges popped down. So let's pop another 2 in. To make sure our ratios are somewhat right. And we've got everything we need here to start the old bread production when that comes time. But I think, once again, it's just going to be about getting a few more burgages in here. Let's get those upgraded to the large granaries and storehouses. And let's see about getting some extensions on here. Why don't we get some chickens? We haven't had any chickens yet. Seems a good notion. A whole bunch of chickens for you. And 4 dwellings to move into. So let's go ahead and get a whole bunch more set up behind here. Food and fuel still look absolutely fine, so not concerned about that at this point in time. Let's extend that road there, and let's do a couple of roads in here. Good, and then we'll fill these 2 spaces with burgages. Not enough goods again. Is it a ox problem? We've not got enough oxen nearby. That seems like something that could well be true. In which case, we should definitely take care of that problem. Do so, let's get down a handful of hitching posts over here that we can then turn into stables. So 3 there. I'll do a couple in here as well. Just like that. And I suppose I've put in a road here to kind of help. It might be temporary, just to help with the oxen, so they've got a more direct route to get back. We could put one up here, but that one probably is going to serve us fairly well because we'll come along here and bring the lumber down that way. So let's get a few. We can fit a nice number in here. Look, behind the woodcutters' lodges, and that'll give us a nice oxen contingent available at this end over here. We've set our livestock trader to bring in a certain number of oxen for us at any given time. So let's just pop in and pay him a visit. Hello, sir. How are we doing? Let's up that to 24, shall we? Bring in a few more oxen again. And that'll service the new installations we have over here, which we hope to... wrong button. Hope to bring up to spec before too long. Make sure all these are ready to become accommodation by upgrading them to stables. Good. This is time for my normal moan where I say, oh, it'd be good if I could build a stable straight away instead of having to remember to come back and upgrade it, wouldn't it? There we go. Moan out the way. Quickly. One spot left for someone to move into. Get some burgages built. Come along, typical. Things to be done. Right, I haven't quite enough to start back there yet, but that'll do for now. And look at that. So many unassigned families. Right, well, I think we should probably get a full contingent at this granary and at the storehouse as soon as it's popped together, since we have local workers over here now. There may have been time to start staffing the taverns, at least in some areas. Come on, finish the storehouse. Oh goodness, upgrades. Good. I suppose we can get another family working here. How's supply looking? Granary's looking a bit better, storehouse still a bit pushed. Hopefully we'll be able to partly deal with that once we get this one operational. Let's up the priority of that just to get it finished. Maybe another couple of families at this one. Yeah, have we set up the limits on that one? I'll have to double check that in a second. Ooh, little upgrade up there. Are you doing a decent job of taking care of the iron? Yeah, so we could do with a few more smelty boys, I think, actually. Oh, good, you're done. So, okay, let's make sure you've got everything you need, which is just going to be... I'll let you have planks, actually. But otherwise, all you really need to have are a couple of commodities that people actually need and want. No weapons. Yep, that looks good. So, get 3 families working there. Check the old supply chains. That has helped out somewhat. We're definitely going to need more than just those, though. Got this granary here. Set it for barley. Let's get 1 family working there. Hopefully they're not travelling too far. We'll get a couple of goats for these families we extended down there. Goodness, people really are moving in at a rate of knots now, which is splendid. Let's get even more burgages popped in behind here. Once again, just simple little burgages that we're going to fill up with things such as, you know, good old pigs and goats to give us lovely meat and milk. I do wonder as well if we might even be able to get all the way up to 95%, which is where you become revered, to get +3 monthly migration. You know what, I'd like to find out, and we've got lots of food, we've got lots of supplies. Clothing, how are we doing for clothing? I often fall behind on that. 786, not falling behind on that, that's good. 200 ale. Economy's looking good, and it's only going to get better. I think we ought to start staffing some taverns, you know. I'm going to upgrade them in anticipation of opening them, so they're ready to start serving people. Because we'll start selling sheep before too long, I imagine, as well. Oh, goodness gracious. Really have got a log problem. Got a log stoppage. Right, well, we don't need a log to put extensions on, do we? No. So, let's get some animal extensions popped on these then, in the meantime. Now we're out of planks. Oh heavens. It's all going wrong. It was going so well. High approval, lots of people moving in, and all of a sudden, boom! No resources. It's almost like I haven't been properly managing our resources. Yes, possibly. Something to think very, 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 very closely about. So let's get a few more road connections through here to make sure people have got a nice, efficient way of getting out to the outer rim of Megadorf. And I would like to start getting these logging camps activated. Got a few people living locally, so why don't we get 2 families at each of these, because a lot of the immigration we've had is to this new area, or all of it really. So we'll get that underway. Build animal pens as and when we can, and have the resources to. And then we probably ought to, once again, look at expanding further out. So let's get another ring of properties. Why don't we put these the other way around, just to spice it up a little bit. 16. A few more logs and we'll be able to build that in situ. And then we probably ought to get another granary and storehouse in somewhere. So why don't we look to do that in this space just here. Maybe even 2 granaries next to each other. One there and one here as well. Yes, you're out of materials. More will come, don't worry. We are in fact actively chopping down the rainforest. It's a sobering sentence, isn't it? A few storehouses, goodness, it's going to be absolutely jam-packed in here with supply buildings. Oh, can we get them in here? It looks like we might be able to. Splendid. Oh dear, can't see a blooming thing, it's winter time. Yes, this often becomes the case, doesn't it? Very hard to build things out and plan things in winter. Come on. I've got the materials now, let me build it. I'm sure it could fit in here. Why? Let me build you. Right, what about on the end? One there. Can we get one in here at all? No. So that will have to be over here. Never mind. And then we've got a market stall set up behind them. Good. Looks good, looks good, very nice. How are we doing for fuel? 14 months, okay. We'll activate this at some point, but not just yet. And it probably would be prudent to get a few additional foresters' huts popped along here. Ready for when we have the people moving in here to work them, so we can get planting up and running. Logging camps have become operational. There's a lot of building work going on though, so it's everything's happening a little bit slowly at the moment. We can of course go in here and buy some goats. For anyone that has an extension popped on already. You all had some lovely chickens. What's going on with this whole... Oh, you're ready to upgrade, but we don't have enough materials. I see. Yes, we are rather shy, I imagine, on planks. Speaking of planks, there's probably an industry that should be moved over here, shouldn't it? To where the new logging industry is. So we'll put one here and one here and build an additional road to service them, because we know that people do like to get rather gummed up with their oxen when it comes to saw pits. Another goat for in there. 84% approval. Let's get a worker, or maybe even 2, at this tavern here. Let's check the market stall supply. Okay on granary and storehouse, but definitely could be better. They're a little bit cold there. So definitely a local storehouse supply improvement up here with these 2 is necessary. We can get someone started here, couldn't we? Get one family operational out of there. Materials are coming back in. Just a little shy on planks at the moment, but that of course will pick up as the timber picks up. We will want to move off the logging camp from here and here though, out to this area. So why don't we got one family in there? Right, we'll move you here, and we'll do the same. Or do we relocate that one? Maybe not for a minute, just because they can store some logs here, and it's a little more local to where we have construction going on at the moment. Don't necessarily need people working here though. So we'll unassign them and send them to go and work at these ones up here. Oh, you can see the planks are coming because there's upgrades galore to be made. So we'll get those upgrades on the way. There's a few level 3 upgrades to be had as well. Useful for a couple of these, because we could get a bakery operational with a few level 3 upgrades. But once again, hamstrung by the plank situation. Once we've got more people moved in over here as well, and we can start to flesh out the outside belt here with our lovely burgages with orchards, then we can start to get a few more workers in the mines, make sure we're producing a little bit more iron, and iron ore, because we're definitely short on iron ore at the moment, and that will help with our exports of mail armor, etc. Because we can get more people dedicated to blacksmiths and start making even more tools, which of course are going to be necessary, armor rather, necessary for our exports and our sales. Okay, we need a few people to move in, and we need our economy to stabilize a little bit in terms of the amount of production we have in planks, so I'm going to go away and do that, and I'll come back once we're a little more stable. Tally-ho. Right, material is looking a little bit better. We're starting to fill up on planks and logs now. Got these chaps over here operating. Oh goodness, they are thinning things out rather quickly, aren't they? We've got a number of foresters employed along here, which I'm going to nickname the Greenbelt. So they're going to start, hopefully, reforesting this area here, ready for a bit of lumber production on this side. But I think we should probably do the same over here, shouldn't we? Get down a couple of foresters' huts, maybe more than a couple, along here, ready to keep the forests operational over on this side. We'll of course need a few families over there to do that, which we'll get there soon with the expansion. But probably the next thing we're going to do is come across the top here with burgages, again with space at the rear to have some lovely little trees. So let's just order in a few pigs back here. We've got pig row here. We've got a combination of goats and chickens for the rest of it here as well. Market store supply, looking pretty good. Going to need some more storehouse before too long, but we've got space at the minute. Let's upgrade these granaries and storehouses in advance. We'll need to go through and pick what they are and aren't allowed to have as well at some juncture. How are we doing for ale? Still looking good for ale. It's being supplied to the locals around here. Let's set a bit of an oversupply. Maybe get a third family working in there to help keep people happy and keep that migration at +2. It would be awfully nice though to get it up even higher. So for that we'll need to keep upgrading people as and when they are ready to have their properties upgraded. And we'll of course need to make sure that we get some bread on the market before too long, but we're going to need to take care of the financial situation before we look too closely at that. Although we have been spending a lot of money, so I don't think we're in a massive deficit, but we need to keep making more money if we're going to keep importing things like barley, and of course eventually wheat as well, which will become more expensive the more of it that we import. Food is down to 12 months, but we'll be producing a lot of meat over here, so I'm not too concerned about that for the moment. Okay, how are we on the old iron front? So we've not got enough ore. Indeed, we need much more. Okay. Let's wait for a few more peoples to move in. And for a few more logs, timber to become available, because I'd like to, like I say, start working our way across this section for our trees. And look at that. The perimeter tree line is growing up nicely. It's just how I hoped it would look. So it's definitely something I want to replicate across the rest of the region. How are we doing? We've got not enough meats. Meats? I was going to say pears, apples, and quinces. But I suppose we're not producing masses from these 5 burgages here as yet. And we're going to put in some more of those as well. So I don't need to worry about that too much. Maybe even do some of that over here. In fact, why don't we set up this ring here as a double section. So we'll come from this road and we'll just build out over this one. Up to the edge here. And then we will do the same from the center along this section here, all the way down to where it joins the end. Good. And then we'll come back and delete this bit. Wonderful. That leaves a nice big gap there. Maybe let's split this into roughly 3. A little something like that. Good. And that gives us some nice big spaces to put down a few larger plots, such as we have done over here. 9 spaces left, a few more families have moved in. Do we have you set up? No, we don't, so you only need to be keeping a select number of items in stock for people. We will allow you to have leather, because I think people do like to have that. And then we'll get a few people working there. Lovely. How is the storehouse over here, dedicated storehouse, doing? You're not a dedicated storehouse, where are you? Over here, yes. near the iron area. Plenty of space. You're not struggling at all, are you? I suppose that's the moment. Oh look, we haven't actually got mail armour and plate armour allowed. Whoops. Definitely allow those two. And charcoal, because they're the local armourers, etc. need charcoal as well. So we can get those things allowed, and hopefully that'll make for a slightly more efficient use of that space. How are those logs coming on? Timber 20. Good. Keep calling them logs, don't I, for some reason? Weird. Let's build these then. So, once again, if we can just do the single snap, then that is good enough. But it might be we need to do slightly larger than that, actually. On this occasion. A little bit further again. Come on, there you are. I knew we were in there somewhere. And stepping off. And like we did before, we'll just work our way across the top here with a whole bunch of perimeter burgages set up so that we can grow some lovely looking trees. Now, you might be wondering, typical, why aren't you just placing all of these in one go? Well, that's because I want them to be really close together. And more closely together than I can achieve using the default tool. Unless I slapdash place them like I did just then, in which case I might as well use the default tool. We'll get a whole bunch in here though. Not sure how many more than we would if we were using the auto tool, but you know, I'm going to tell myself it's enough that it's worth doing, because otherwise I'll despair a little bit at the additional RSI I've given myself. A little too high there, good. Is that right from the correct corner? No, it was not. No, it's sneaky. I saw it coming. Don't worry. It's bigger than it needs to be, isn't it? Let's shrink that down a little bit. Good. How far have we done? Probably put a road in here, shouldn't we? Make sure there's a reasonable number of connections out to the outside of our gorgeous Megadorf. Megadorf, yeah. Oh goodness, this is tedious. Do apologise. Whatever you're up to, you know, hope it's going well. You're just doing your daily mundane. I hope it's going well for you. If you're working, and then what are you doing watching this video? If you're sleeping, then are you hearing this in your dreams? Let me know. In fact, pop down in the comments. What are you doing at this exact moment in time that I'm speaking this absolute ramble at you while building these burgages? I'd be fascinated to hear where it is that you're joining from. What it is you're doing. That would just be really, really fascinating. Because, you know, it's not often I get to find out what you're all up to. You'll hear all sorts of stuff good old Typical is up to. It's too steep. Goodness, no wonder I'm having so much trouble placing it. But I never hear what you're doing. I'd love to. Pop down in the comments. It'd be great. What do we reckon? 2 like that? Sure, that's fine. Oh dear, pressing buttons. All wrong. Planks, 92 of them. Good. So we can go along here and get all of these set up for orchards. Again, wouldn't that be really nice if we had a tool where we could reset what extension we wanted on the back of our burgage before we built the burgage? That'd make life easier, wouldn't it? Yes, I know, most people aren't doing what I'm doing here. But, you know, some people must be. I doubt I'm the only one. At least I hope I'm not the only one. That would be rather lonely, wouldn't it? Let me know if you're doing this too. Just sanity check. No, but yes, as I was saying, love to hear what you're up to, what you're doing. And I do like to give a little voice reply down in the comments. So if you let me know what you're doing in the comments, I'll get back to you with a voice reply, if I can. Can't always do it if you comment on TV, but I'll try my best. And I'll get back to you. It's absolutely fascinating to hear what you're all up to. Right, you go and do that, and I'll upgrade these burgages. How's that sound? Good? Good. Sounds like a deal. So, what's stopping these chaps on the end here from getting up to level 2? It's not water, is it? Is it the fact no one's moved in? It is. Okay, that I can cope with. Okay, 18 plus 2. Still at 83% approval, so we've still got plenty of families moving in each month. Food and fuel are still stable. And let's get a few of these additional people that moved in temporarily. Let's assign them to go and work at these forestries. Let's also set up the bounds of these forestries. They can overlap a little bit each, but if we give them kind of a different area each, then they can focus on planting up in that region. They're not spread out too thinly, because they're already going to be walking quite far each day to get to their respective posts. Okay, good. Hopefully those 6 foresters there will give us a decent little bit of coverage, because we're really hacking out into the side of the forest there. Yep, we're in massive debt to the king. Nope, it doesn't matter. Who cares? We are the king as far as I'm concerned. And look at that. I feel like we've got quite the large settlement already, and yet, with 376 of population, we are barely scratching the surface of the Megadorf's potential. In my first playthrough, actually, where we've actually not had any satellite settlements, I think. Even with the Rundling, we had satellite settlements to support it. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's like having everything contained within one rodal structure. Rodal structure, that's probably not a word, is it? Sounds distinguished and good though, so I'm gonna stick with it. Finances are looking a little bit woeful. So as soon as we have a few more people moved in, I think it's time to start assigning a few more people down to the iron mines, because we're definitely not producing as much iron as we could be, which is hampering our main export, which is armour. We'll pop a couple of upgrades down here, and let's maybe get a couple of upgrades here as well. Let's get a couple of families down the mines. Good, another 3 families. And we've got a few level 3 burgages here. Yes, we have. Good. That's a storehouse. You're a level 3 burgage, aren't you, sir? Yes. You'd like some grains, some footwear. Well, I suppose, actually, now we should have a fair stockpile of leather we've built up. If we look at crafting materials, we have 618 of the stuff. That's good, isn't it? Where's it all being stored? Is it you? Yeah, I suppose you could store the leather too. Let's set you to store leather. And let's visit any of your neighbouring storehouses and tell them, you know what? They're not allowed to stock leather, because it's all for our lovely, lovely shoemakers. You, no leather. I'll pop a couple of upgrades while we're over here. Why not? Storehouse. Leather. No. Storehouse. Leather. No. Good. I told them. How are we doing? Look. Large village. It's nice, isn't it? We definitely need a few more granaries. That's what that's telling us there. Okay, you've got loads of leather. No. You're an everything storehouse, are you? So someone's got to be. Let's go over here then. And you're going to make shoes. Congratulations. We'll send you on a little training course. At the end of it, you'll get a little certificate that says, I know how to make shoes. And you can be a nice skilled worker for us. How's that sound? I hope it sounds good, because it's not optional. I'm afraid we don't give you a choice. You know, you were tending to pigs before, and now you're making shoes. As far as I'm concerned, that's an upgrade. I think I'd rather make shoes than tend to pigs. I don't know, actually. You know, it's never a choice I've been faced with in life. So I've not really thought about it up until this juncture. 21 spaces for people to move into, and by jolly, they are moving in. 85% approval. And money is running out. Really running out. Gosh, we're down to 150. How are we doing for pasture space? Are we filling up nicely? We are, but there's still plenty more. We should probably have another sheep farm down here, actually. Whoa! Zoom too far. That's no good. Hello, sheep farm. Where are you? You're a livestock trading base. You're not what I want. Probably in farming. That'd be a good place to look, wouldn't it? Typical. Good grief. Can we squeeze you in here? No. I guess you're going to be on the inner ring then. I guess it sort of makes sense, seeing as, you know, you've got sheep fields galore in front of you. So let's turn off your snapping and get you snugged in here. Like that, and might even put one opposite as well. Yep, that's good. Church is being maintained. We're doing okay for tools. We could do with a few more, to be honest. Where do we have our smithy? Let's get a second family working at the smithy to make sure we keep on top of the tool situation. And are we getting on top of the iron yet? We're starting to produce a small excess of iron ore. Let's see if that continues to build up. And then it might be we need to get more people back into the bloomeries as well. As expansion goes, you take care of one thing, and shortly something else pops up as needing our attention. Speaking of which, food. We're at 700 carrots, 400 for cabbage and beets, and a few pears and apples. We could definitely do with a few more large-scale orchards. These at the back don't really count. And we could definitely do probably with a few more vegetable plots at some juncture as well, to make sure we keep on top of our production needs. I guess we could aim to do that over here. spread things out a little bit. We've got very dense here, so we go agricultural here, and then we'll go dense here and agricultural here. That sounds good. Let's put in a couple more of these larger plots then. So we'll do that at maybe this one. Have a interim here where we can put some granaries and storehouses, etc. So we'll repeat the process we've been doing so far and copy over this road of the Megadorf so that we can delete this interim section. And maybe we'll even take this entire section here. So let's just build over this road here too, so we can delete that. Then take this and follow this section of road. It's a little bit clanky doing it this way, but it does work. So it doesn't really matter, does it? And then it's definitely this one? Yes, okay, good. I wasn't sure for a second we built the right road out, but we had. Splendid. And then we might as well carry these roads right the way through and have a little bit of uniformity right out to the edge, which is not something we've done over on the other side where we've started, partly because, you know, we didn't really have the chance. It was sort of working our way around the iron here as well. But, you know, if it works, it works. Not convinced we've got enough iron still being produced, so I think we will get another worker down the mine just as soon as someone's available. I suppose we could do that now. Get someone else in there. Still 16 plots available, and yes, regional wealth maybe starting to pick back up a little bit now. We've increased our iron production, so we're selling more stuffs. I was considering selling sheep, but I want to fill these pastures before we start doing that. And let's get an additional family working at the sheep farm, or these sheep farms down here, a couple down there. I assume at some point we'll need to do a big old reassigning as well, of where everyone works, but I don't really want to do that now. It'll be an absolute nightmare when we do come to do it. So the longer I can put it off, the better, really. At least the better for current typical. I'm not sure future typical will agree. I'm sure you'll be able to go and get his opinion a little bit later on. It was splendid upgrades. Finally got a decent amount of timber and planks stored away as well over the new operational logging quarters over here. Hopefully we're doing a bit of planting as well. Are we reforesting over here? Maybe, but very slowly. Let's maybe take a look actually at the environment. So it's 65% woodland at the moment, or woodland. So let's keep an eye on that and see if that goes up or down. That'll tell us whether we're winning the forestation battle or losing it. Fortunately, Nusshole is a massive region, so we have plenty of trees available to us as we go on. We're not just stuck with these over here, unlike some of the smaller maps. Clothing, up to 1,000 clothes is not a problem. We could sell some clothes, I suppose, but I do find that later on in the game I struggle for clothes. I don't really want to sell anyone. Sell anyone? No, we're not selling people. Goodness, this is not a Egyptian-based game. We're not going to sell any if we can help it. Having said that, it would be nice to have some money to buy some seeds for all these lovely apple and pear and quince trees up here, but I suppose we're just going to have to wait. Right then, where's the next bank of properties we're going to put in? We could extend this further. Oh, small town, that's lovely. We could extend this further here, I suppose, and get a few more burgages in. But we can't afford to build, or to buy any trees for the back gardens at the moment. It's not too far commute-wise from this central area where we do need more workers, but you know what's even closer? The Inner Rim. So, let's get rid of this logging camp. I know you said we weren't going to, but we are. And it might be prudent. No, we've still got storage in one of those. Spare space. And then let's fill out this here with some burgages. So, do we just slam a whole load in? How are we doing on the granaries and storehouses? Bit pushed. Okay. Let's open up this granary. And what is it you don't really need to have? Don't really need to do much micromanaging of the granaries, do we? Let's get 3 new workers operational there to start helping. Let's plan out where our granaries and storehouses will be down here. So maybe let's get a couple of storehouses popped in this way. 1 and 2. Put a road up here. And then get some granaries. 1, 2. And some market stall space to the side of those. Oh goodness, it's not market stall, is it? That's a burgage plot. I would have thought I'd know the difference between those two now. by now. So let's get this in here. Don't need it to be any bigger than it needs to be. Good. And then we'll just maybe pop a road on the end here. And then fill this space up here with burgages. That's pretty neat and efficient. So do we want these to be single or large? With extensions. Then we'll go single. Do we go large? Oh, I don't know. Expansions do look cool for the central ring, but they're not all going to be burgages because, you know, we're putting stuff in here as well. Do I want them all to be burgages? I think it's going to be a mix. We can always come back and delete this stuff later on, can't we? And move it to elsewhere if we absolutely had to. Right, so that's going to give us a whole bunch more accommodation. And we're down to 11 months on food. So high on my list after doing these is definitely going to be some more vegetable accommodation. Possibly over on this side. We are sort of getting to the edge here for expansion. So that could be something we do. Now though, let's let a few people move in. And we'll come back to it once these burgages are up and mostly moved into. Right, so lots of people moved in, just down to 4 available living spaces. So I think it's about time that we got down a few more burgages, and you can see food's dropped down to 10 months. We're definitely working our way through quite a lot of it since we've been massively densifying the population here. I've taken away some of the fields over here we had for sheep, and I've replaced them with granaries and storehouses because we needed them for the supply, and even so we are struggling a little bit. And I've moved them all down here, and you know, the central anger of the Angodorf was for animals and for the pasture, so I think we'll do the same for the Megadorf. Largely we'll have it down here for these. Manor might end up being sort of here, opposite the church, and the rest of it could be pretty much pasture space. Now, if we need more burgages for food, then we'll do that over here. First things first then, let's get a couple of granaries and storehouses popped down. So we'll definitely need some in the lower part here, but I think we'll probably start up here. We'll put a few down here. So let's get a granary and a storehouse popped down right at the bottom. Like so. And we'll pop down a little market stall behind those. That was snapping there just to get that set in right. Good. We've already exploited the water we can, haven't we? Over here. Where is it? Where are you? I know I put you up here somewhere. Or was I intending to and didn't get round to it? That's equally as possible. Well, let's put one here, and we'll make sure to upgrade that to a stone well. And then let's get down a second granary and storehouse in this second part here. Maybe even 2 granaries, 2 storehouses, and some market stalls behind. On this side, there should be enough for all of them. Good. And then burgages. So let's get them filled out in this space here. And we did 5 on this side, didn't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not that it really matters. So what we're going to do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do 6, 5. Do 5 again. Might get slightly more on this. It's slightly wider again. Oh, make sure we go all the way up to the top there so it snaps. And yeah, we'll go for that many there. And then we'll fill this one out too. As soon as we have the resources. Yep, and maybe we'll make 2 of those vegetable and 1 for orchards. We'll just have to wait and see what we want to do. Thank goodness we need to get on with it, because we've only got 1 space available left for people to be moving into. We have, of course, got expansions we can put down everywhere. There's not much point getting into those until we have these up and running, because, again, it's food we really need, and if we're stacking extra people in the same burgages, then we're not producing any more food from them. Hopefully we should be producing a little bit more iron now. Money is starting to creep back up. We've got an overstock of malt, so I did slightly decrease that so I don't need quite so much. I've also installed a couple of additional breweries over here, so we're up to 3 now instead of just 2. Instead of just 1, rather. Turns out that was the bottleneck. We can probably get a few more clothiers down there at some point as well, but we're fine for the moment. Materials are looking okay, and yes, vegetables we're starting to struggle on. Got plenty of milk, which is good to see. Yes, iron. Are we back down to... yeah. So I got a few more workers in at the various bloomeries. And you can see we're now back at capped on iron. So there's a few more people move in. Let's get a few more people working at the mines. Good. Now, we're up to... what is it population-wise? We have a wonderful 487 people. And I've started to notice a few issues where oxen are starting to have a bit of a party, let's say, in spaces they're not meant to be. So we'll have to keep our eye on that as the game starts to perhaps start to feel the, the strains of having a larger population. But I'm interested to see what we can end up with in Angodorf. I wonder if it'll be anything close. 2,000. I mean, that would be the ultimate aim, wouldn't it? The Megadorf, containing 2,000 citizens. But I don't know, will it be able to sustain 2,000 citizens? I just don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm very intrigued to find out. It would be nice to export clothes at some point. We're certainly going to be making enough sheep, but we'll just have to see where we get to. A few of these burgages then coming together, and already people moving into them. Let's set up the various limits on these storehouses. So I've taken it's just easier just to tell them they can't have everything except for firewoods and clothes. That's all they really need to be getting. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, salt would help for approval, so we could import that at some juncture. And so would spices, but I don't think they need anything else. So we'll do that. It's only 2 active anyway, so let's then get... How many have moved in? Just a couple. Let's get a family at each of these, just so they've got somewhere local to start with, and then we'll set those aside for upgrading to large ones as well. Let's start putting on some extensions at the rear. So some vegetable gardens, like I said, is going to be the main priority. So we can get some veggies in the ground well ahead of the issue. Because it's 9 months of food at the moment, and we'll see. We're not going to run out in 9 months. We are still producing food. So this should give us plenty of time to get it ready. And then maybe these up here will make into some additional orchards. Because again, orchards and having fruits helps with happiness. And the higher the happiness, the more people we have moving in at any given time. We're not quite getting up to that 95% I hoped we'd be hitting. We'd have to do a little bit more supply on the ale side. I suppose we could do. We could open up perhaps one of the taverns over here. Is there one in the central area? Down at the front here. The sheep farm's there. At the tavern there. I think that's probably the closest one, isn't it? Because this one over here is currently active. We'll get that upgraded just so it's ready for when we do want to turn it online. And we should probably think about where we're going to put the tavern over here, shouldn't we? Probably in this space here. Yeah, too steep, right? We'll go right on the top of the hill then. We'll pop that down there. And you're ready to have your vegetable garden. And we've got plenty of money to get some seeds into these as well. So once they're all built and ready, I'll just sweep across and do it all in one go, because otherwise I get terribly confused to what I have and haven't done. Once again, with these storehouses, let's make sure that only stocking the bare minimum that's needed. Don't need to waste time getting all these other goods. Probably ought to all open up a few general storehouses that don't have, market stall access somewhere as well, so we can store all these goods. Otherwise, we're not going to have enough space. We've got a few dedicated storehouses over here for the clothing industry, but this one's pretty full and all that yarn. So we haven't got tons of space with them. Might be good to get a few more burgages popped in over here as well. Again, just provide more workers for the metal industry and also the future grain industry we've got going on here as well. I don't know, though, how many we're actually going to be able to get in here, because it's pretty steep, isn't it? Oh, apparently it's not a problem. Okay, well, in that case, we'll go ahead and get those in. Do we fill out to the edge here? Could do, but I can't help but feel the space would be better utilised by popping a granary in here and getting some additional market stall space in. Where's that? Why aren't you done? That well is a very high priority. These poor people over here aren't going to have any water. Apparently they're getting it from somewhere. Fair play. But it'd be nice if we gave them something a bit more access. We've only got 6 workers available for construction. It's taken them a little while to get everything set up. It's a little bit of a walk from where they're coming from at the moment. But hopefully they'll get there sooner rather than later. There aren't a whole load of ways across this central green, are there? But I don't suppose it really matters. Hopefully not. There shouldn't be too many people crossing over for work anyway. We'll need to reassign these forester huts and the logging camps, etc. once we've got more people living on this side, so we can free the people up over here to do their jobs more locally. Like bloomeries and the iron mines, and like I say, at some point, the great reassigning will definitely be upon us. But hopefully not just yet. Right, you all done? You all done on this side at least. So carrot, cabbage, beet. Carrot, cabbage, beet. And go cabbage, cabbage for those. And pop upgrades where people are ready to upgrade already. few more people have moved in, so we'll get a couple of extra families at the granary and storehouse over here for the local supply. And we'll get these over here installed with some orchards. Good, and we'll get some beets, carrots, etc. over here, and a few cabbages, and it's just this one here to give some seeds. 13 plots people to moving into, and already, you know, we're starting to fill those up. I mean, even with +2 monthly migration, it does fill up pretty quickly, doesn't it? I very rarely would get to +3 monthly migration. It doesn't feel like something that happens very often at all. Still have some tools. I wonder, where is our smithy? Is there a limit I've set on you? There is. I feel like we should probably up that to more like 200 to make sure there's enough tools available at any given time. Drop a little well in there. And yes, definitely need to get some more fruits out there as well, don't we? Good, right, well. Oh, I suppose we could even start planting up you, couldn't we? Okay, we'll get some apples in there and pop you an upgrade as well. And are you done? Not quite yet. Upgrade there. Where are we going to build next? 18 timber available to us. Maybe let's get the next couple of burgages popped in, ready for more orchards. And we'll go for maybe some slightly smaller orchards there. Do something a little bit different. And we'll definitely need to wait for the old log situation to recover before we get any more placed down here for a moment. Right. Same job as usual. I'm sure you're familiar with the protocol by now. We're going to let some people move in. Then we'll get back to it. Toodlepip, make yourselves a cup of tea. Right, so we're knocking on the door of 600 residents, 597. We've got all of these burgages set up over here, and we've got a few set up that are going to be for honey. Most of them are going to be for pigs to make us some meat, and we've got a few here which are going to be set aside for use as bakeries, because we've got the new bakery quarter set up over here. This has mostly been moved into. 32 available living spaces with all these new burgages over here. We've freed up a bit of space here, as we said, so we can get the bread sector taken out, and this can be used for more iron production. Got some level 3 upgrades going on over here, and it's all going rather swimmingly. 600 people now dwell within our Megadorf as we head into winter. Fuel is down to 8 months of supply, so we probably ought to take a look at that. We need a bit more firewood, so let's get a few more people at these woodcutters' lodges over here. And we'll of course be assigning a few people to go and do the various jobs over here. So you are going to be for bread, basically. So you can store wheat, you can store wheat bread, you can store grain, wheat grain, and wheat flour, and that's all you need to be storing. We'll get 2 people working here, and we'll upgrade you to a large granary. We will get 2 workers at this farm, maybe 3, so they can start turning the grain, the wheat we're receiving into grain. And then we'll get a few workers at the windmill ready to start turning it into flour, and for the time being, a few workers at the communal oven to start turning that lovely flour into bread. And before long, that should mean that we have a lovely bit of bread available on the market. Good show. Right, so a fair bit of time has passed. We are up to 35 available living spaces. We have a population of 727 residents. You can see 111 of those are actually now level 3 families. So basically, while waiting for people to move in, it just ended up being a load of people upgraded to level 3 burgage rods, and now we have absolutely loads of space for everyone. What we are struggling for, though, is money, regional wealth. We're spending a lot on bringing in the old barley and bringing in some wheat too, and we've not really expanded our mine industry over here. We've got a few extra bloomeries I want to get going. But, you know, some people are starting to move in over here, so we'll get some more people working at these bloomeries. At some stage, I'm probably going to have to go through and do that old reassigning, because the markets and storehouses are a little stretched in terms of how they're getting everything to everyone, and we're struggling especially with food variety as a result of that, which of course is making it more difficult to upgrade burgages. Now, I was hoping by upgrading burgages we could get close to that 95% approval, so we can get +3 monthly migration. But I think with the size of settlement we're building here, it's going to be very difficult to do, to actually supply everything. In terms of clothing, I mean, we've got plenty of shoes, we've got plenty of clothes, and we, food-wise, have, let's have a look, we've got a bit of pork and chevron on the market, plenty of vegetables, and look at that, we've actually got plenty of fruits for the first time. Usually I've been struggling so far on fruits. I imagine it's because our newest orchards here have started to yield some results, and we've got bread as well. So we've pretty much got everything that we need. We've got a decent amount of milk as well. So, you know, people should have their requirements nicely met. As you can see, we're still going through, and there's plenty of level 2 burgages that are starting to be ready to upgrade to level 3. We've got a couple of active tanneries, a couple of active taverns as well. And you can see we've got 142 ales, so we're doing okay on that front. But I think we're definitely going to need more fruits, because I suspect the fruits that we have even now will be gone by the time we come into January, February time. So I'm going to put a few additional units around here. Let's start with, we've got enough temp here, not too bad. A few granaries and storehouses. So we'll get another couple in here. If we turn off snapping, let's come in here and get down 2 granaries directly opposite each other. And then we might just be able to fit a storehouse or 2. Yep, perfect. Below those. Just like that. And is there anywhere nearby that we can get ourselves a lovely little well? Not here, but we can do over here. So we'll get one just there. And we'll get down another couple of granaries and storehouses. We might struggle here. If we put the granaries this way, hopefully we'll have space below to get those storehouses. So one here and one opposite. Splendid. And we'll get in a few more burgages. So I think we'll fill up this space here. And this will be, once again, for some orchards. So we'll get those there. Fill out this space here as well. Looking into those corners. Good, so it's 2 units. And how are we doing for lumber? Probably get another unit in. We'll put this one in here then. Oh, let's not do this one backwards actually, because this one is on the edge of the Angodorf, the Megadorf green itself. So yeah, let's put those like that. Good. Right. Well, that is certainly going to give us a whole bunch more space for people to move into, and I'll also see about getting these granaries, storehouses, etc. built and filled up with stores and goods. We will need, of course, to get a couple of market stalls in here. So we'll get one there. And one over here. Turn off snapping, make that a little bit smaller. A little something like that there. Grand, and once again, as this Megadorf playthrough is proving to be, it's just another case of a waiting game. Just going to have to wait once again for us to get to a reasonable number of burgage pots filled before I can start expanding further. Now, we're maybe approaching half utilization of the Megadorf, and I'm starting to wonder if we're even going to get it finished. Because are we just going to, the game going to, have an aneurysm before we get there? But I mean, we're already up to 735 population. We'll just have to wait and see. Right, I'll work a little bit on decreasing this number for once, and getting a few people moved in, and I shall see you shortly. Tally-ho, make yourself a cup of tea. Typical's got hours and hours of work to do, which is basically going to consist of me sitting here and watching this number. Cheery bye. Well, my goodness, boys and girls, look at that. 94% approval. 93%. I've got 94 plots people moving into. We've not really expanded much. But, people are happy. It really is working. I've never really had a settlement where most of the people here are of a higher level. And I'm interested to see if it works. We're up to 780 on the population. That hasn't moved much since I left you to go and do some upgrading and waiting, basically. But I thought we're getting so close on the approval that we had to jump right back in. I'm actually running out of timber and planks. We're doing that much upgrading. I've not even built the extensions on the rear of these new properties over here yet. So I've just popped down a couple of additional logging camps. So let's go ahead and get a few of these active, and we'll give them a dedicated livestock as well. I suppose in line with that, we should probably up the number of workers we have with these foresters to 2 on each. Make use of all those lovely people we have sat around doing nothing but upgrading. So that takes us down to 7 families. We've also got a few additional bloomeries here operational. Got 3 more fully staffed. And the game is starting to slow down just a little bit. And the Megadorf is starting to take shape. It's a bit like the unfinished Death Star, I think. It's kind of the vibes that I'm getting here. So food and fuel is still absolutely fine. In fact, I did build an additional charcoal worker here not too long ago. When it comes to market stall supply chains, I've added a few extra granaries here and there, but we're definitely lacking on storehouses. You can see that as more people are moving in, we're starting to struggle a little bit. I added a whole bunch of additional pastures on this side, and I put down a couple of extra sheep farms here as well for when we need to take better care of all of those sheepies. How are we doing actually for wool? 1.1k, so and 5k yarn as well. We could definitely make more clothes. So that might be a good export actually. So where is our clothes manufacturer? It's over here, isn't it? Let's get another 3 families set up as clothiers. So 1, 2, and we'll do 3, just as soon as we have a few planks available to us. I'm also going to get rid of the last couple of pastures we have over here at the edges of the Megadorf. So we can make space there for things like, you know, granaries, etc. Maybe a few houses, we'll see how we go. And they can move into the central anger where we're having all of our sheep stored. And just as soon as we have the resources, yep, let's get another clothier in there. And then make sure all of these are making... Oh, we suppose we could make... I need linen for that, don't we? Yes, silly me. We can make lots of woolen clothes. And then we can sell some of those woolen clothes. So we'll just wait for you to upgrade. And where's our local storehouse? Yeah, here. Okay. 2,400 yarn here. Good grief. Surprisingly, no clothes. You have got 3 workers, though. So I'm guessing you're fine. Could get a few more, I suppose. Might need another dedicated storehouse for working with the clothiers here. Otherwise, things seem to be going pretty swimmingly. Okay, right, let's get that there. 90% is jumping up and round a bit, isn't it? Right, so they're all making those. Let's go down here and let's make sure we've got some horses assigned to this trading post. We've got maybe family working here. And trade-wise, let's establish trade then on some clothes. And I'd say we want at least 800 at any given time. And we should probably do the same on the old boot front, shouldn't we? I mean, what have we got? 170 leather, so not stacks of leather. I'm going to hold off on that for the moment. We'll build up a shoe stockpile. But we'll start selling some clothes. Ooh, upgrade that tailor shop. That's what I'm seeing, is just little upgrades. Left, right, and centre, all over the Megadorf. Of people going up to level 3. And that's put us up to 389 level 3 families. 189 burgages, more than we have the level 2 now. Practically everyone's going to be level 3 in a moment. This will be certainly the highest concentration of level 3 burgages that I've ever had in a playthrough. I'm not sure it's helping us because we're nearly up to 100 available living spaces. And like I said, we really want to just spread out a bit as well as... But what we've ended up doing is massively increasing our population density with that spreading out into new production areas. And that's where we might start to fall a little bit short because we're not making any more food for these additional people that we're moving in. Indeed. Scary stuff. Okay, right. Once again, I'm going to get back to upgrading and basically waiting for people to move in. Hopefully one day getting somewhere near... Whoop, this royal tax goes up again. Just ignore the debt, I know I do. I'm going to... What am I going to do? Probably build some extensions on the back of these here. Get them ready for when we do eventually have some orchards. Hopefully as well, because I've upped the iron production. So iron ore more efficiently be turned into iron slabs. We can make even more good old breastplates, etc. and chainmail to be sold on the open market. So hopefully that will start to produce some fruit and upgrade our income. As you can see, it probably is starting to there a little bit. Because we were running a little bit low previously. So I'll just keep an eye on that. And if we are still not making enough iron, then we'll get a few more bloomeries put down. And with all these, the one advantage to these level 3 burgages and the increased population density is that over here, where previously we were running shy on workforce, we've suddenly got a whole bunch of people moving in. So we get more people working at the mines, we can get more bloomeries operational, and maybe even put a couple of additional families over to the production of all those goodies we want to be selling. But for the moment, still shy on iron slabs, so let's have a look. Where can we get down a few additional bloomeries? And possibly in that space we just cleared out over here, where we had those sheep. So we'll get one in here. And let's see if we can't get a couple in here. Good, and we'll get those operational just as soon as we can. And, yes, there's one building over here. So you are level 3 now, so you should be a bakery. Make sure all these bakeries are making wheat bread for us. Yes, you weren't. Good, you are now. Because I deleted the communal oven, now that we have a domestic bakering? Oh, that's a weird word. Baking sauce. And they'll, of course, be making bread more efficiently from the wheat that we are buying in. And we're still buying in plenty of wheat and plenty of barley to keep things going. Got 150 ale. Might even be able to open up another ale house. There's a word for that, isn't there? Tavern, this one, before too long. And goodness, look at it when I've got tab on up high. It's a busy old place, the Megadorf, isn't it? Right. Let's get these set up as orchards. Good shenanigans. Hopefully we've got enough planks to go all the way through here. Looks like we do. I did open up a second plank boy. So hopefully we'll be making enough of those. And we did get a couple of additional logging camps over here as well. Right. 93%? Oh, goodness. I'll come back to you if we get to 95. On with the show. Goodness, it's been like 30 seconds. And look, 95% approval. 96% approval. And a whopping +3 monthly migration. Now, at this rate, it's still going to take me approximately 16,000 hours to fill out the available 102 living spaces we have available to us here in the Megadorf. Yes, it's certainly going to take a while, isn't it? So what I might do, I know we keep going to these breaks, don't we? We're just waiting for stuff to happen. I am now just going to wait for this to fill up. I may then start to add a couple of additional burgages. I think I'll probably go through in a second if it really becomes an issue and start reassigning everyone so they all work nice and near to the local work areas. I'll keep an eye on the iron production, etc., to make sure we are making enough iron slabs. It looks like we are making a few more now, maybe starting to get on top of that situation. Let's get another worker at that bloomery there. And what I might do is do a little time lapse. So this time I shall leave the recording on. And hopefully we'll be able to see, look at that 97% approval, hopefully we'll be able to see a whole bunch of people moving in and the settlement growing. And then once we get back to a point of actually doing some more progress and building some things, then we'll take a look at that, shall we? Our brief stay at 95% was short-lived. I believe we are starting to run short on a few commodities, such as fruits, and probably on meats as well. And that's because, once again, the population density is skyrocketing. I've gone through and done a mass reassigning, and as you can see, granaries are looking much better, and storehouses are better as well, supply chain-wise. 70% food variety. The issues there now actually are probably in what's available as opposed to distribution of all the good stuffs. Oh, goodness, you're not really getting anything, are you? You might need a few extra workers at this granary. Oh, it's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. Right, okay. Now, I've built a few additional logging camps. The idea is we can store a few more timber. Because what I think I'd like to do is go through and actually finish building out the Angodorf, or near enough. So, I know we've got a huge population density here, and I was assuming we would do huge population density over here as well, but now I'm starting to wonder if that's actually necessary or even feasible, because the amount of material and resources that this portion of our Megadorf consumes is absolutely enormous. Most of our population is here. Most of our 886 people live in this quarter of the Megadorf. So I think we need to dedicate a bit more to food production. So I'm going to go through and we'll add some larger plots in here, and we'll put some in here as well. I think we might also skin out this one to make some larger plots, and maybe this one as well, the top two rungs. So let's go through and make sure we have gone over any roads that are next to anything we're going to delete. So we'll start with this one here and bring that down to this side of the Megadorf, because we're going to delete this road. No, not this road. This road. Did I go over the right one? Not sure. Let's go over it again, just in case. Just follow that all the way around there. That went badly wrong. Let's delete that and try that again. So from there... Yes, you're taxing me and I'm not paying. We're well aware of the situation. Let's go over this. Right the way across. Up to the midpoint here. Build that, so we'll delete this one. How far along do we want to delete it? Probably to here, I reckon. So then let's just build this over the top of that one so we preserve it. Delete that road. Just thinking about it. Okay, good. So there's this section here now for larger, and I think we'll also do it with the rear one here. So we just need to go over the line on this half of the Megadorf here, essentially. You know, all these guiding lines were guiding lines for us at the start. We can go through and delete them as and when we please. We don't need to maintain them just because they give us the shape of the Megadorf, because of course as we build buildings into them, that of course builds the shape back for us. Goodness, camera's flying all over the place here. Okay. So they will have a larger rear garden for the trees, so we might not have exactly the same style as we have over here, but these guys aren't really producing anything, they're just workers really. But you know, there'll still be trees at the rear of these properties, and that's something else we'll start to go out and fill through as well. which will take forever. I might time lapse that. But we'll start filling out this area and this area over here. Now, I've left this middle section, so there's plenty of space in here to be putting granaries and storehouses. We also probably ought to make sure we've got enough wells situated in here as well. So let's go ahead and turn off snapping and make sure we get a few of these positioned right from the get-go, so we don't forget to do them later, as I am fairly prone to doing. So put 2 in there. We'll get 1 in this corner here. And let's get 1 over here. Good. And is this enough large? I mean, there's masses over here of these large extensions. Some denser in this region, but also some storehouses and granaries. And then we've got some larger ones here. So we may want to turn this into a large section as well. So we could do all of these actually. Yeah, let's do that. So let's preserve the road from here and guide this back along through the densest part of our Megadorf. All the way through here. Gosh, it's a long road, isn't it? Up to there. Splendid. And then we'll delete it in here. Whoa! Game is not a fan of me deleting those roads, is it? Delete the ends there. It was like so long ago I built these initial roads. It was an absolute pain as well, but you know, we'll get there. So we've got plenty of King's roads going through here, which is going to help with distribution, etc. But we probably ought to get another one in there to help with logistics and getting from one part of the mega to the other. And probably the same here. We take this road up to there or something. Yes. And yeah, so that gives us lots of large plot spaces. So with all that in mind, I think the first thing to do is to go through and get down a whole bunch of granaries and storehouses, and you can never have too many of these, can you? So as we've seen, I mean, we've got a huge number of people working at granaries and storehouses, and yet still on the edge of supply. So we'll fill these in here, and basically I think we'll pick a spot. We'll put down 2 granaries, 2 storehouses, and a market area. And that'll be our pattern going forwards. And we'll have to make sure as well later on, when it comes to activating a granary and storehouse, we need to first go and check that granary and make sure that it's got all of these settings correct. So we're not doing things like, storing metals that should be somewhere completely different. So we'll keep an eye on that too, so we don't end up with all of our lovely efficiency going out the window just because scale has got involved. Not the most efficient shape for these here, but to be honest, I don't think that's going to be the problem for filling the Megadorf. From what I've seen so far, we're gonna have plenty of other problems to worry about, aren't we? So there's this little site there, little site here. We probably should have one out towards the edge here. I mean, we've got this one here actually. Maybe in here, get a storehouse and a granary or 2 there, and get a market stall along here. And yeah, we'll get another storehouse then opposite that market stall with a little road connecting in. Good. Right, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4 zones here for grains and markets. I think it's probably going to be okay, given it's going to be a looser population compared to what we have down here. And then over here, if we get 1 in here, then maybe over here, that might be a good enough distribution. So we'll turn some snapping on. So a couple of granaries, a couple of storehouses. Oh, no. I mean, there's slapdash, and then there's doing a terrible job. So let's try and land somewhere in between on that front. Let's fill this out here for those. And burning through a few resources here. Probably ought to get some hitching posts and stables in these areas as well, hadn't we? Right, let's put 2 there. 2 there. And a market stall. Might have to do this a little bit more manually. Doesn't seem like a very efficient use of the space there, does it? But it should be enough. And we'll get 1 more in. Where are we going to put it? So there's 1 there, there. Maybe there's 1 there. That might do for a moment. We'll always put another 1 here, although I think there's a supply in there. Right, so with that done, let's get to putting down some burgages. So these are going to be largely a combination of burgages set out for vegetables, So vegetable extensions, garden extensions, and then also orchards. Because we really do have a problem with supplying our people with enough fruits. So we'll get those in there. And then we'll fill out this space here as well. Do we go out to the road there? I don't like the way it curves everything round. That I don't mind. Do that. How are we doing? Okay, we've got a fair few resources actually, so we might be alright. And let's build in a few other bits and bobs. So we're not going to need, I don't think, loads of industry over here. So I'm not too worried about leaving space for that. So let's fill that out there and have them slightly wider space to make better use of those. And then we'll just do one massive fill out to the edge here. Don't need loads of connections out to the outer edge of the settlement, because that will, you're not going to need to go over there, basically. Not going to need to go over there. Okay, we'll leave that unoccupied for a minute. Let's fill out part of this one here. A little bit like that. And then a few on this side. Again, start at the bottom. Seems a good idea. Is that filling out to that road correctly? There we go. That's better. Pop those down. And goodness, already starting to run out on the old lumber front. Once again, let's make sure that gets clicked right into the corner there. Spread those out a little bit. How's that looking? So basically filled all of these in here. And we'll get a couple more in there, and then I think we'll probably be waiting for some more timber to arrive. Having said that, and you know, we do need lots of vegetables and fruits, especially fruits at the moment. I mean, vegetables we're looking fine on. We're going to need meats as well. So maybe let's fill out this midsection here for some meats. And maybe we even end up splitting some of these a little bit further as well as we go along. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket straight away. Because if we do that, then we're a little bit stuffed if it turns out that we needed something else. So how far? We're going to have to do this in probably stages here, aren't we? Okay. Don't like how that's joining up there. Don't have a lot of choice though, to be honest. What if we put them the other way? So start on this bit of road here and come out. Ooh, it's a little bit strange. Does work though. Okay, that's fine. Do that there. I don't think we'll have enough to do this one here. No, so we'll have to come back and revisit that. For now though, let's let them get on with a little bit of construction. A significant amount of time has passed, and we are up to a massive 1,538 peoples. I've done very little in the way of building, as you hear things being built. But what I've been doing is upgrading, and I've been adding a few granaries, storehouses here and there where we absolutely had to. I added a small district in here for some additional clothing production, as I found we were struggling to produce enough clothes. So I fixed that particular problem that we were having. And we're doing okay now. We're back up to nearly 1,000 clothes. Shoes looks like they're struggling, so I guess that's going to have to be the next thing I focus on. I wonder how we're doing for pelts. Not many. We've got a fair amount of leather, so we need another boot maker, obviously. Let's quickly take care of that now while I'm thinking about it. I've got a couple of tanneries this side, so it should be someone over here, really. Yes. Someone that's level 3, obviously. You're all tailors, aren't you? Brewers, metal workers. More metal workers. You there. You shall become a shoe boy. Thank you very kindly. The church did fall down at one point, so I built a second church that doesn't require maintenance because it's a low-level church, in the hopes that that'll help things out. We've been bouncing around the 90% sort of percentile for keeping people happy. So migration's been okay, if not excellent. Not always been above that 95%. But look at this. 1,500 people living in our Megadorf. And it is quite the sight. It is an enormous settlement. A city, you should say, really. I put some extra pasture fields in the middle for all of our sheep. And I won't stop breeding sheep until we've filled all of the pastures here, and that extra quarter here of the Megadorf I've yet to put any in. And we've got a load of trees over here growing. I think I'm going to abandon the idea of trees all the way around the outside, because I think we need to get a few more burgages producing meat. So that's the next on the agenda. We've got just 5 spaces left for people to be moving in. So that's what we need to start looking at. That is if the game will let me out of cinematic mode, right? Oh, 4 places now. Goodness. Okay, keep things moving. Let's just have a look at the map. Right, so we filled out a lot of this here. They've got some spaces on the end. We've got lots of space on the outside here, and then we're still only sort of just moving into this end here. We've occupied this middle third. So let's get the old burgage tool, and let's fill out these outside sections. And we're not going to do it individually, because, oh my goodness, I've run out of time to do that. But it might be worth us getting a few burgages, not a few burgages, what am I talking about? A few storehouses and granaries in, so that we can supply the good folks we're putting up here with food. They might be a little upset with us if we weren't to do that. So we'll get some of those in, and then we'll continue our burgages behind those, like so, and we'll extend all the way out across here. These outside, oh goodness, not enough goods. Need 22, down to 15. You can tell we're doing a lot of upgrading when we're running out of logs. So we are going to get rid of these camps here. They are largely here to help with storage as opposed to production. Production is in this second row. So we may need to move a couple of those. In fact, what we can do is just relocate it for the time being. And we'll bring it, say, inland a little bit. It's not inland, is it? It's just in a mega? Something like that. Further into the Megadorf. So we'll pop that in there. And then we will just delete these two on... Oh dear. Yes, game, I know. It's getting hard, isn't it? There's a lot of people here. We'll delete these two outer ones. Oh, goodness. Really struggling a lot there. And we'll build this next row of burgages. A little something like that there. And I'll wait for a few more timber. And then I'll just continue to fill out the spaces we have yet to fill with burgages. I'm going to keep an eye on the old food situation as well. We're doing pretty well for pork these days. And bread is a good staple. Vegetables are pretty good as well. Can still do with more lovely fruits. Although it is only now that some of our orchards are coming into their prime. That being said, I think potentially we could add a few more over here. I don't know if we need that many more vegetable plots. We do have a whole bunch here. And here as well. And here. There's a lot there. So I think we'll focus on some orchards for a little bit. We might leave some space for some more of these boys. But really, it's the meats I want to get a bit more of. So a lot more goats, a lot more pigs. And maybe even some more chickens as well. We'll have to see how we go so we can get a few more eggs. But that's what I'm going to work on. And then once I've got a little bit further down the line with that, gosh, 1551, then I will revisit you because, like I said, a lot of this is just waiting around. But never fear, we'll get there. And I'm really, really interested to see how many people we end up managing to fit in the Megadorf. My goodness, has it been a minute? But look at this. The Megadorf is looking absolutely resplendent. The church is even standing. Hasn't been all this time. The forests are looking well and truly lush around the outside. A bit of a hole there that we've been planting up. And the Megadorf stands proud in the open space in between. I've been around and I've filled out everything. The game chugs a bit when I hold down tab because there's quite a lot in it, as you can probably see. Yes. Ooh, look, upgrades. Would be nice, wouldn't it? We managed to keep above 80% approval most of the time, but not all of it. Because the game has, I'm afraid, started to absolutely chug. Oh goodness. Forgot to buy some animals. Do apologise. And as you can see, we do have 28 available living spaces still. And that's with, basically, apart from a few gaps here, there's pretty much all the available space in the Megadorf filled up. We could squeeze a few extra burgages in here and there, or granaries, etc. But for all intents and purposes, apart from the centre, it's full. And we have quite a lot of sheep. In fact, we have 1,800 sheep. And you must be thinking, goodness, that's a lot of sheep, that's more sheep than people. Well, actually, it's not. We have an astounding 2,082 residents. We have an astounding 283 residents. But unfortunately, we have very much reached the game's breaking point. We cannot get any more people in here. I mean, I could probably wait for these 27 living spaces to be filled, but that would probably take about 5 hours. It would just take absolutely forever. And that's because, at this point, it's really starting to struggle. We're down to 6 months of food as well, and the game is struggling to function, I must admit. But I've had a lot of fun getting to this point, and I think the Megadorf is an absolutely gorgeous city. I do just think that it's going to have to be, we're going to have to wait a little while for the game to get a little bit more stable before we really start attempting these massive settlements such as the Megadorf. So once it's a little bit more stable, And we can do a few more of these. Imagine having a couple of these on a map connected by a road network and trade between them. It would be absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, the game isn't quite there yet. I've had a lot of fun though, and I think you'll agree, or I hope you'll agree, that it is quite a pretty city. And it's definitely a city. I mean, you can be in an entire quarter of the city, and I imagine it would take you a decent amount of time to walk to another area. The orchards look resplendent. The vegetable plots look bursting with produce. And the people look happy, apart from when they're glitching out of their absolute faces, trying to get in and out of buildings that are jammed up with carts. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this one with me. This is probably going to be the last massive city design we do in a little while, just because I think the game needs to be a little bit more stable before we really attempt more of these. That's it for today, folks. If you've enjoyed this video, then please let me know by dropping a comment down below with feedback and suggestions. A like, hype and sub go a long way towards helping the channel grow. A huge thanks to my members. Your direct support is invaluable. You're the reason I can keep going. If you're still in the mood to chill, join me in another video and maybe become a member to gain early access. But enough of that. I've been Typical T, and this has been Manor Lords. Cheerio.